Good evening, fine people of the internet. Hope you're doing well. Welcome to another episode of Heavy Metallurgy. This is episode number 256. We're joined once again by the best co-host in the business, Alan. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing okay. It's been a very long and very busy week, but
True that.
Yeah, got everything done. All the boxes are checked, so we can take it easy, have some fun this evening. Hello to everybody filing into the live chat. Good to see lots of folks hanging out here with us tonight, and very glad to see our guest back tonight. We've got a special one.
Hello.
Out of obscurity, Chromie D. Phillip, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing fantastic. It's an honor to be back. Thank you.
It is good to see you back, and you made your premiere last weekend on the birthday party for Mr. Gas Masks and Hand Grenades over at Jeff.
Happy birthday to Jeff.
Yep. Happy birthday, belated or late birthday to Jeff. And you know what? You're one of the guests that always people are like, when's Chromie D coming back on? When's Chromie D coming back on? So you know what? We're glad to finally have you back. It's been a good year or so.
Over a year. Chromium
Dioxide is a very fan favorite channel, especially around here for me in particular. And I know Alan as well. A lot of people in the chat. Let's talk about Chromium Dioxide, Phillip.
Okay, where do we begin?
I think we should begin let's talk about derailing.
There are several subcategories of derailing.
And we're going to talk about death and we're going to talk about rebirth. But first, let's talk about, you're building a channel.
Right.
You're putting all your blood, sweat, and tears into one of the best channels on the internet. I'm in our circle.
You say this to everybody
in our circle.
On every show every week. Fuck you.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying that you put a lot of time and effort, and it takes a long time to grow a channel organically. We all know this, and it's frustrating, but you got up to a certain point, your characters are established, and something new is thrown into the mix. Tell us about Chromium Dioxide, well, before the shredders, and then during the shredders. Let's talk about the shredders for those who may have been following along.
Well, for one thing, I don't want to talk like smack about some of those guys, because some of them were actually, the guys that were behind it, the main guys, were actually pretty cool, and they were very good to me. And most importantly, I got paid what they said they were going to pay me. And there's where the problem began. Because I think they thought that I was actually a team when I was first contacted. I think they thought that, there was a bunch of us working on this, and they were expecting content. And then they said they had a record, and they did. They produced this record, and it had some awesome people that I've grown up really admiring. You just look at the track listing on it. I wasn't receiving any money from that record or whatever, but, my job was to promote. And there were three on the channel, there were three sections called, Ancient Scepters, which wasn't really received well, which kind of surprised me, because it did come from my heart, but it wasn't like stream of consciousness made up as I was going along. I had to send them a script for the first time. I had to send them, they would send me back, okay, well, no, we want you to rewrite this, or don't say this, and you can't say that word, or you can't say this word. And you know what I mean? And like these characters, like they wanted Castillo for anyone out there that doesn't know my show. Castillo is he's kind of a Cheech and Chong kind of like composite sort of thing, you know what I mean? Composite. And yeah. I don't know. Sometimes they didn't want that kind of trashy sort of character. And so then I was told that they were developing a God Almighty, what's that Hawk Tua coin? What do they call that again? Not the coin, but it's bullshit. It's fake. Like you can buy the FTCs, or what are they called again?
Oh. Yeah, in
NFTs
pictures. Yeah,
NFTs. And I had no idea what that was. That's why I feel so bad for that poor Hawk Tua chick, because she's about as dumb as I am. You know what I mean? That could have easily been me if it was successful, right? And I would have just been like, sure. So anyway, my job was to just kind of like midwife this whole thing and be kind of like a MC for what they were about to release. And then they wanted me to interview the people from the album, like guys from Testament. They were arranging things with guys from Nuclear Assault, things like that.
Which isn't out of your wheelhouse. You used to do this back in the day for the Chromium Dioxide magazine back in the day, which somehow it evaded me, but seeing it post existence, it looked like an amazing rag back in the day. So you can do that. That's not a problem. That's something Phillip can do.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
But when you have to, if they want it like content, like every day, they wanted interviews every day. They wanted me to start the zine up again under Ancient Scepters. I was like, guys, the money you're paying me is really good, and I'm ashamed of myself for saying like no. But I have a life. I have a job. I have a full-time job. As a result, this got me fired from my job because it didn't go to my head like, oh, I'm working for Sony or like the Orchard Group, but I was like, man, this is a lot better than working in a mine. Right. So
it is until the newness wears off, and then what you love to do suddenly becomes your job. That's a thing. Trust me. Anyway, go ahead.
And like I said, these guys were really cool to me, man. Like but they had masters, and I don't know how the Shredders album sold. I think it sold pretty much just like every other album that's out today. It was a gimmick. And then they had this cartoon, and I blew up. I went fucking insane when I saw the cartoon, because I was like, this is not this. I put a lot of work into what I do, and the guy who was doing, he's awesome, but he's a one-man guy too, and the cartoons were just derivative, and just I was angry with the whole project, so I blew a gasket because I had just gotten fired. Because you're not supposed to work with the company I worked for. I wasn't supposed to be working on anything. Like Chromium was a side gig. That's what they looked at it as. Not one that they approved, in the community.
And one that isn't profitable at all at this point in the YouTube game.
Well, I mean, I never like had a Patreon or anything like that. I was using music because it felt right for the show.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And it felt right for the vibe that I was trying to do, but it wasn't even naive. I was just, this is the way I want to tell the story, and this is the way it's going to be, because I'm not a businessman. You know what I mean? So then I got, like I said, this whole business thing really unraveled the whole thing and soured me. And so then during that time, I was like, I'm not giving up on Chromium. For a while, I didn't even own it.
And the Shredders thing, you're talking about the album, and, there was those little shorts, those reels they were doing with the cartoons and all this fuck, marry, kill thing. And then there was also a spin-off of it that was kind of weaving in with Chromium with the new puppets. I knew there was trouble in paradise when I saw full frontal puppet nudity. I'm like, I know that Sony does not approve this.
They were really mad. Like, they didn't like it. And you should have seen me making the puppet penises.
You went full Cotton Wang, Phillip. You never go full Cotton Wang.
But I mean, I took over my father. I was renting his garage. I was renting like sets. I was even though I said I was being paid well, I was just pissing it away on production,
hemorrhaging money. Yep.
And then then I directed 2 videos. So I was like, man, like,
which have done quite. I saw the one with Skolnick. It has like over 10,000, 12 or 20,000 views or something. I'm like, wow, okay, that did better than I thought. It popped up in my feed for some reason. So one of the videos did pretty well.
Yeah, just to say that I was a director and I was paid for it is like, if someone told 12-year-old me that would happen, even on a basic cult level, and I got to work with some of these guys, man, I'd be a happy dude right now.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
I'm proud. You know what I mean? It's like the band that opens for Wasp in like '87. You open for Wasp. Right? You went nowhere. But so, that's that. And everything changed. I went back to, I just went back to finish my education. Teaching degree. Because I already went to university. I was university material.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went in and got that done, and now I'm teaching. Can you imagine me teaching?
I think you'd be a pretty kick-ass. You have probably a good way of relating. What ages are you teaching?
Well, I started off with young. 6 to 8, and that was actually, I love 6 to 8. They're hilarious.
Mhm.
They're such dreamers, you know what I mean? And
Yeah,
nothing
yeah.
is crazy enough, you know what I mean? It's just like, what are we going to do today? I'm like, one kid will say, "Can we write a story about poop?" I'm like, "Hell yeah, heck yeah, well, yeah, let's do that." And then like you're gonna, you know, I was teaching like older kids and stuff like that, and that's really where I feel that I'm beneficial.
Right.
You
And
know
I
what I
think
mean?
you got the right personality for it because, I think you can, some of us we're always 16-year-old in our head. And I think you would probably relate with the people you're teaching quite well. And they probably like you too. So,
Well, we get along, and the thing is, yeah, I'm a giant child, right? I have this. I think on my beard is growing back. I don't look like such a giant infant anymore. But yeah, no, it's just I love talking to kids about the music and arguing about music with kids, and they're telling me this, and I'm learning things. You know what I mean? And it's just back and forth, man. And I think that's important. And I think one of the things that these kids are seriously lacking is the access to tangibility. You
right.
know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
people, when I do my show, it's like I never wanted to do a show where it was like, "Hey, check out the new Brave Star figure line that's coming out," or "Remember when," even though it is full of memorabilia. But what I'm trying to do is that fine line between infantilism, you know what I mean, and like just the idea of like texture and owning things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You look at things on YouTube now, or I mean, I watched French Connection the other day, and it was just massacred because it had to meet standards of today, and I'm like, it shouldn't have to do that. You know what I mean? And I think it's fun to remember, but like scent, you know what I mean? Feel, you know what it's like getting an old comic book and smelling it or a record. I mean, I'm not the first one to say this, but the
Mhm.
tangibility of us showing records here today is so important, and the kids love it. And kids kind of people shit on the kids, and they're like, you see all these like YouTubers that are like, hey, you know what I mean? Like they're all into 80s culture. It's a bit tiresome, I'll admit. You know, my son's not going for it. He's like he just thinks it's bullshit. But you know what I mean? It's like maybe I can sell it when you're dead.
Yeah, yeah.
But and that's fine. That's fine. But what he does like is the idea of a physical collection. And now he's bringing his friends down, and they're looking. He's like, "Hey, look at all these horror masks that my dad has, and look at."
Yep.
And the kids are starting to do their own YouTube channel, and they're doing it about music that I don't want to say despise, but it's total trash. But guess what? So is
It's not to
Motley
them.
Crue. So
Yeah.
is Motley Crue. Like my
Yeah.
grandfather saw Rat. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
You know, like if you think that he's like, well, now that's interesting. I like what they're doing there. You know, no, he was like, they're perverts. You know, and they're women. They're cross dressers. You know what I mean? So I look at some of the things today that the kids are into, but I found it kind of interesting and refreshing because when I talk to you guys, we're all pretty much going to be on the same page with certain things.
More or
Yeah.
less.
Do you
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. There's going to be differences. My God, tonight we'll even see it. But you know what I mean? Like, you know, these kids are they love to hate me and hate to love me.
Right. Well, and it's like my own kid. I mean, he's grown up seeing my big collection of music,
Yeah.
and now he's like coming down, and I'm like, why don't you just listen to mine? We'll go to a store, and he's like, I'm going to buy this Megadeth Killing Is My Business CD. And I'm like, I have it on CD and record. Why don't you just borrow mine? He's like, I want my own, Dad. So, I
Yeah.
mean, he's building his own collection up there, and it's good to see because this could go away in a minute. I mean, there's something could happen,
Yep.
something could happen, and it could be, then what? You lose your entire people that say I've got 1,400 records digitally, they could be gone. And then what are you left with?
Well,
So,
that's the thing with me last year when that was one of the last things I signed off with. I thought I lost everything in the fire. We had to leave
Yeah.
town for 10 days. I was living in a
Yeah.
hotel. You could still smoke in the hotel too, which is pretty fucking
wow, crazy. Yeah, yeah.
It's Quebec, dude. It's Quebec.
Yeah.
Right. So no, like the whole thing was it was eye opening, and I talked about this, I do believe, before. It's nothing new. I just started to realize it's gone in a second, and everything that I have here, as much as I love it, and we're all the same way, we're just kind of like curators. Like someone's going to own this shit later on if we survive,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I just have it now, and I'm doing my best to show it off, and not to flex. Except the metal theologian, I want to flex with him.
Yeah.
I want to break his spirit.
So, okay, Shredders kind of derailed what was going on with chromium dioxide. And, you know, there was the fire that was potentially going to wreak havoc. It did in Canada. I mean, for a long time. We had smoke from it here forever.
Yeah, we heard you complain.
Yeah, you know, I said it'll be better when they're the 51st state. It'll be much better then. Just you wait. We'll clean you up in a jiffy, mister. Anyway, so then there's a long period where you're kind of done. And you feel a sense of relief, probably. You don't have to deal with the bullshit, the corporate machine anymore. But there's also that nagging thing that you left some things unfinished.
Well,
right?
after I released my Cold Lake,
Cherry orchards.
Hey, listen, don't fuck around with Downtown Hanoi. That's a great song, man.
Yeah.
I never quit. I didn't think it was going to be done, to be honest with you guys.
When I talked to you, you seemed very discouraged, and I think you were just kind of lost and kind of needed a break. We'll just go with that.
Well, yeah, for sure, because it was limbo. I didn't own it anymore. I didn't think I could do it. I didn't want to restart another series with something else, right? I mean, what am I going to talk about? Brave Star figures? Right?
They're trending in the chat right now.
Yeah, well, yeah. I haven't seen, but I will say that I want it to go bigger. That's what a delusional asshole I am. I'm like, you know what? No, not big enough. So I took over the whole garage. Besides this room in the basement that was the studio, the Superstation 66 studio, I decided to take over my entire garage and build it into a full-scale spaceship. And the people that fired me at the mine still brought things to me. It's not like they hated me.
Well, no.
It's just that it wasn't like, I was fired because I was difficult to work with, or it was too much of a distraction, and I own that. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. When I go for gold, I'm going all in. And so I took over the whole garage, made a full spaceship, and there are two sections to that. There's quarters, living quarters, there's the actual ship. Now Superstation 66 is gone because I wanted to mirror, like, they got fired. They're done. They're done. They lost the rights to what they do. Now they're in a pirate spaceship.
Art imitates life.
Yeah, well, that's what you right what you know, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, so they're out there. Now the Barbequtioner will have certain issues that he has to deal with, his sobriety, while the rest of them are just still deviants. And I want to continue because I talk about these characters like they're really big and stuff. Like, they're not big to the world. They're not big to even you guys. But to me, living in my head, I'm like, man, I just got to get this shit out because it makes me laugh and it makes me feel good. And then I told my wife I needed to have like a Starfighter set because you can't do a bullshit sci-fi show without a Starfighter. And we couldn't rent the place. No one would let us. And then I looked and I'm like, man, do you really like these like decorations and suitcases? Like,
when was the last time we needed suitcases other than the whole fire thing? I mean,
yeah,
you just throw things in a brown paper bag. Fuck it.
Nothing that like a stick with a polka dot bag over our shoulder.
Old school. Kick it old school. That's how we roll.
Suitcases are so boomer, really.
So one of the Starfighter sets is hilarious because I built the miniatures first. All from garbage, old school kit bashing that you got from Buck Rogers and Star Wars and Star Trek, right? All kit bashed. But the actual set is underneath the stairs. And the stairs, you can see the steps going up. But I was like putting all these crates and putting my heart and soul into it. Because, like I said last week to you, Marty, someone who intentionally sets out to make Sharknado doesn't deserve like the time of day. But someone who makes Battle Beyond the Stars, and you can see Big Mac boxes on the wall because they're trying. They give a shit. That's what makes it entertaining. And I'm trying. I got no money. I'm trying. And it's going to look shitty. I promise you. But know that I'm sincere. I'm all in.
You know, the guy that makes Sharknado doesn't deserve the time of day, but the guy that makes the fourth Sharknado really, really, really doesn't deserve the time of day. But I'm just saying.
Well, that's a mercenary, and there
Yeah.
ain't nothing wrong with a mercenary. You know what I mean? But when you set out to make shit, some people like it. You know
The
what
bar
I
is
mean?
low already. I mean, you
Yeah.
just got to lean into it and laugh. I mean, because you know you're not getting an Oscar for fucking Sharknado 4.
Well,
know,
yeah,
it's not happening.
and I'm not going to get thousands of new subscribers doing this show, but it's making me laugh.
Yeah.
And that's really, I mean, that's it. So I mean, that's where I am, and I'm ready to come back. I was filming today and getting in the Texas Mike costume. Underneath the step, there is no room. There is like van seats and bullshit like this behind you, which has to be fixed. All this has to be fixed. All the light, like the weird fading out and stuff. But it's a lot of that stuff, and it is a nightmare. If you thought when I used to complain to you guys before about filming, this is worse. This is much worse.
What makes it worse is when you suddenly don't fit into the Texas Mite suit anymore.
Well, thank God.
Then what?
No, thank God I was smart enough to get most of the wardrobes now about XXX. You know what I mean? When you
Yeah.
deal with China, you
Oh, you
really
got
got
to.
to be careful. You
Yeah.
got to be careful because, bless their hearts,
Double X isn't double X in there. No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Their supersized KFC is quite different than North America.
Yeah, for good reason. Well, this is great news, and you're on a schedule again. And when can we expect the return? Is there a plan? Is there a date coming?
I never wanted to say a date because I wasn't sure. There's so many factors now that will.
Of course.
But the first episode is filmed. Right? It's pretty much edited. I wanted to get like 3 done, but I think I'm too excited to get it out there. You know what I mean? I want to get back into it because I couldn't watch any of your guys' stuff. When I was off, it was too painful. I was talking to Metal Theologian. I was like, man, it's just going to make me rush, and it's going to, make me make this shitty. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to drop out, and then bounce back when the time is right. And the time is right now, and everything's built.
Awesome.
Everything's ready to go, and I'm still having fun. You know what I mean? So
good. Well, it'll be awesome to have you back, and it's good to have you on the show again. It's been a long time, and I miss our 2 a.m. Drunken by the campfire video chats where I'm called a piece of shit and everything else, and it's great.
Well, it's
but it's good to see you again.
Well, it's good to be here. You just don't want to be on acid by yourself in the yard, right?
No, you get scared. You get scared. You
I got scared. I got scared many times, and like where I'm in the woods. It's like you hear like a lot of things, and when I look at the fireside chats, man, I'm just like, oh God, man, like you have no idea, like how terrified I was. Like the camera was your only friend, so I try to imagine who I was talking to, but I was just out there alone, man. And this is Labrador, man. Lure of the Labrador Wild, and it can turn on you.
It could.
Yeah, so you're just out there, and I didn't even have a gun, right? Like I was just like had a dance belt and a tube of chapstick.
Ellen, do you have any questions for our esteemed guest? I've kind of hogged the whole thing here. I'm so sorry.
Oh, no, it's fine. But no, I think we've covered everything pretty good.
Me and you, you and I are teachers.
Nope. I've just been taking care of the live chats while you've guided the conversation with Phillip. So it's all worked out. Just
I can't do both. As like someone with ADHD, I can't do both. I'll go mental.
Nope.
I struggle with it sometimes for sure. But okay, well, we're here to talk about, Phillip had a great idea since it's the Easter weekend, the death and rebirth thing. And what are we talking about? What are we talking about this week?
Comebacks. But for me, comebacks is a weird thing because I'm like an archaeologist, when it comes to this stuff. I like the old stuff. I like digging up obscure, just like you, Professor Steele. You know what I mean? You pay attention to the new stuff a lot more, but there was a period in time, like in the around 2010 era, there was a lot of bands that were coming back, and I found that interesting. It got me interested in that like newer release era. But so I said, let's do like comeback albums, but not just comeback albums, just also like characters, some of the characters that were in like heavy metal. you're on the Rolaids, or what was it?
Oh,
Tums?
dude, I got heartburn so bad.
Yeah,
All these stupid. I'm eating robin eggs, the Easter candy, because that's what Jesus would have wanted. And
Jesus definitely would have wanted that.
and now I've got heartburn so bad. Anyway, go ahead.
And on the
Continue.
4th day, he gorged himself upon peeps.
Yes.
yes.
My wife and I used to live across the street from the Cadbury factory.
Oh no.
Every day smelled like chocolate and like coconut for some reason, and we used to get free samples all the time. So it was, I was breaking out like a 13-year-old.
You're out there swimming in their spill off ditch.
Yeah. So, anyways, I was like, you know what? It's interesting to pick like not only like albums or comebacks for bands, but actually people and the characters that were in the scenes that kind of moved on to better things. And sometimes it's going to be subjective. We're not going to agree. And it's not always going to be the point that the world agrees that this was a comeback. But I can only answer for me what I thought was an absolute good comeback that made me buy it. And if I don't have it, it's because I didn't give a shit.
George, thanks so much for the super chat, man. We appreciate you.
Appreciate
Cheers.
it, George.
So, Phil, why don't you get us started? What's your first pick for this shindig we're about to embark upon?
I'm about to be surprised myself because I was frenzied picking these things out. Okay, so let's see. Okay, yeah, this is an interesting one. Hold on, give me one. No, not interesting. This is actually blatantly obvious. I like to fight with myself sometimes, and I don't necessarily agree with this. But a lot of you know me, and you know that I am a huge fan of this era. I love the Glaze, Terrence Glaze era. I just think it's fun. I love the Van Halen, you know, the party vibe. It's vulgar. PST 88. You bastards.
For those listening, he's holding up a Pantera I Am the Night LP.
What do you want, like Spotify now or something?
No, but we eventually will. It's just one more thing I have to do. I haven't done it yet.
This is going to be like very difficult. All these, especially like those 45s. Alan's. He is now showing a yellow Trespass cover. but I mean, look at this. Like, this is a good time, and this is the second last. Like, this is my favorite Pantera album, and I'm not being like ironic at all. You know,
No, that's fair.
Forever Tonight or Come On Eyes. Just gotta come on, eyes, right? So I enjoyed that. So now I went out and bought this because I'm a good host.
Okay,
You can't argue that that's not a comeback or a reinvention.
it's a reinvention for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and it blew. They blew up. They hit it right at the right time, right sound. Yep.
And everything about it, from the title to the logo to the sepia cover or sepia cover, whatever way you want to pronounce it, rubbed me the wrong way.
Understandably, being a fan of the previous stuff.
Yeah, but I mean, like, this is when I was starting to, like, I knew I was losing. You know, not that I was born like, it's not like I was like, you know, in new metal Pantera. Yeah, but it's not like I was, you know, in grade 6. I was like, no, dude, I'm really into like the early Terrence Glaze era. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't know about that stuff, really. You know what I mean? But when you go back in time and you unearth this stuff, I look at this Pantera and I absolutely, this one I don't hate. I don't hate this one. Like, Cowboys from Hell is actually a really fun song. I got no complaints with it. I don't want to fight with it, but I'm a good host. And I have many friends that are into this kind of, what do you call it? I'm not comfortable calling this album new metal. It's bro metal. You know, it's something bro about it that I'm just
It's meth metal.
Meth, yeah. And I know that I would get along with this band, especially like on Acid by the Fire. I know me and this era Pantera, there's going to be no problems at all. We will make memories, and I'll see you at the high school reunion. But the thing is, it just aesthetically, it wasn't my thing, and I felt like I was losing grip. And when I look back, when I bring up those albums, everybody makes fun of me, and I feel that I'm not wrong. I feel that I was right, but you know, I'm in the minority. But I do think this, the reinventing the steel, the reinvention of the band, this was a good thing for them, and I'm glad maybe, you know, for their pocketbooks, they did this
And their legacy. I mean,
you can't argue with a good legacy. But I'll tell you what, though, had they have stuck with Terrence Glaze, do you think maybe the brothers would be still alive? You know, although I do know,
path, yep.
and not to be like making light of that situation, but think about it, man. Like this kind of music brought out that kind of anger, that kind of like rage, whereas the other one, you know, it's that kind of like mentality. And I think that the early albums are just fun party times, and these guys like to have fun and party. But I don't know, there's a certain like when you deal with Pantera fans, man, or Slayer fans for that matter, you got that Slayer, you know, it's like these guys probably never even heard of Slayer. You know what I mean? But it's part and parcel of that mentality. If you're going to listen to Pantera, you have to be a shithead. And there's going to be someone here who's like, you bastard. All right. Just from my experiences, man.
All right. Well, good start. Good getting us rolling here. And Alan, you're up.
All right. Well, we'll just cut right to the chase and start with one of the biggest ones. Iron Maiden.
I knew this was, we all knew there's going to be.
It was in my pile.
Yeah, there's a lot of ones that are just obvious. We all have to comment on. I mean, it's not like Iron Maiden had gone away, but they had, of course, for most of the 90s, worked with a different vocalist. Bruce went solo and, you know, did some pretty good solo albums. I don't play them often, but I do like several of them.
Accident, yeah.
Accident is pretty good.
Chemical Wedding's
Chemical Wedding's quite good. The one after that is okay. I always forget the name.
Something Tyranny.
Yeah, Tyranny of Souls.
Tyranny of Souls. Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you guys
still okay?
Are you guys tattooed millionaires though? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, I can do without tattooed millionaires myself. Yeah. I gave it a fair chance. I did give it a fair chance.
Yeah.
But yeah, well, you know, Bruce is kind of, you know, doing pretty well on his own. Maiden did start to flounder. Those albums have their fans. X Factor, I think, has its place. It kind of fit a little bit in the times, being a darker, broody kind of album. Folks gave it a fair chance, but they couldn't follow it up. You know, Virtual 11 happened, and man, that just happened. It's a mess of an album. And at that point, it just became clear to folks that, you know, Blaze is just not going to be able to steer this ship. It's nothing against him personally. No. It was a really big ship. It's hard to steer for one person.
It wasn't the right band for him. He did fine. It just wasn't the right band for him.
Yeah, you've got huge shoes to fill. Yeah.
He's like a punter like Paul Di'Anno. It was like they were going backwards.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it, Phil. They were going backwards, rapidly losing ground. Something had to give, and they patched things up, got it together, and amazingly, it worked quite well. You know, I remember people being really, really kind of uptight, worried about, could this formula work? You know, can you reintroduce him to the band and not have the same issues flare up? I mean, 3 guitarists.
What are you?
What are we thinking? Yeah, I mean, just, you know, you can't have 3 guitarists.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, they bring everybody in and actually form a very stable core that worked well. Is Brave New World the greatest Iron Maiden album of all time? No. Is it going to stand up there with the giants in their catalog? No. But it was proof of concept. They didn't need it to be the best heavy metal album ever. They just needed to show that they could make it work. And they did. And, you know, they took that ball and ran with it. And, you know, we'll talk about this, but I feel like this is one of the big things that kickstarted this whole retro nostalgia love of older heavy metal. Because, you know, through the 90s, metal was doing all kinds of different weird, strange things, branching off in different ways. And as you get into the 21st century, there's a lot of looking backward. You know, that's just an observation. I'm not saying whether it's good or bad. But, you know, having Maiden come back that way definitely sort of, I think, triggered that happy nostalgia switch in a lot of people's brains. And as we'll see lots of examples tonight, you had more and more and more and more and more and more bands kind of follow in their wake, trying to get the boys back together for another album. Would that have happened if this album flopped? If they came back and it just sounded like a total mess, and like 8 months later, Bruce has stormed off again? Would we have seen all these other bands come back out of the woodwork to take
I think it
another
was
shot
impossible to flop. It
It was impossible to flop. I think they played it pretty safe on that record too, because they knew
Yeah.
they didn't want to fuck up. They
Oh,
had
yeah,
a big
yeah.
album they had to cover their ass for, because Virtual 11, it was not good.
No. No, you both are good points, but more personal. I'm thinking more personnel wise. That they put it out. The album's okay, but just three guitarists really don't gel. They're like hiding all of Yannick Gear's underwear on tour, and he gets pissed off, and Bruce and Adrian are at each other's throats or something. If it had all just fallen apart and come to another screeching halt, would so many other bands have been on that retro comeback train? No way to know, of course. And it's not like Maiden's the only reason other bands got back together. But I think their success really did pave the way for a lot of folks to start being like, oh, yeah, those guys. I remember those guys were great back then. And again, we kind of turn our eyes to the past and start attaching ourselves to those things. Then it's like all the new bands are like, hey, but we were doing this other kind of interesting new thing over here. Oh, well, look out. We've got to make room for that third guitarist now.
Was that
I don't
on
know.
Sanctuary? Was that
just one of
Capital
those-
or Sanctuary? Sorry.
This one.
Because speaking of that, the Sanctuary, they all went to Sanctuary after a while, right?
A lot of them did, yeah. The
LP's on EMI.
Okay, maybe that was okay. Of course, everyone was getting back together. That makes sense. By the way, Cape Breton, what are you at, my son? Right on. But I will say, I think it made me happy. It made me feel like I was home. Mom and Dad were going to give it another shot.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I did not. My description of Iron Maiden with Blaze was, he seems like a really nice guy. I just don't want to see him with Mom. Right? You know what I mean? He's not like Dad. Right. And that was the part that like hurt me the most. Like Bruce leaving was up there, like even with Rob, you know what I mean? Like their replacements were good guys. Now, Ripper fits into Priest better than what, Blaze did. Let's be real.
But they screwed that up too.
Oh, that second with Demolition was just, oh God.
They screwed that up. That should have worked
Do
way better.
we want to just go
than it
ahead and
did.
cover Priest while we're at it? Because the two do pair.
Yeah,
Might as
absolutely.
well go for it.
Yeah.
I didn't pull them, so you want to do it?
Sure. Yeah, I had in the stack too. Yeah. So yeah, as y'all were just saying, Priest followed a real similar trajectory. You get into the early '90s, Halford goes off to do other things.
Many things.
Others, some of which worked out better than others. And yeah, Priest did take a different tact. They looked for a vocalist who was very similar to Halford and found a really good one with Winters, Baines, Ripper Owens. And the albums kind of played out the same way with Juggernaut. People were, curious, willing to give it a chance. It leaned into a little bit more of what was happening at the time on the metal scene, being a little more aggro, and it had a generally decent reception. But then the next album came along and just shit the bed. Demolition is such a bad album. And it came out with very little fanfare. What fanfare there was extremely negative. And it just became clear that it's just not going to work. It took Priest a little while longer to reconcile things. Because again, Halford was doing just fine with his metal god persona eventually coming back around on Resurrection. Hey, that ties in for the theme tonight too. But they of course eventually work things out. And kind of like Maiden, they play it safe on this album for the most part. They just have to establish that everyone is friendly, getting along okay. KK's bitter resentment against Glenn still hiding in the back of the bus someplace. And so it works and they move forward and it's all good. But it is another one of those big moments of Metal God returns, Priest is back. How does it work? It's front page metal gossip news. You can't beat it. Ripper was a better fit for sure. He could do the Halford stuff and make it sound and feel like Halford. So, but in both cases, whether it was whether we're talking Maiden or Priest, I don't think in either case it was necessarily the singer's fault. It didn't work. It just seemed like on those second albums, the lack of material was astounding.
Oh, God.
Neither band could put anything together on those albums. And of course, the new guy's going to take the fall for that.
All right. Good picks. Good picks. Well, we're going to take a little trip back to the 80s, the Satanic Panic, and talk about a legacy of a band that is kind of chiseled in stone. That would be Merciful Fate.
I thought you were going to say Danger, Danger. And like, you're taking my pick, man.
Nope, not Danger, Danger. You know, Merciful Fate, they put out two very important and impressive albums with Melissa and Don't Break the Oath. Broke up. King Diamond moved on to a very popular, probably more so than Merciful Fate, solo career, and wrote Fatal Portrait, which was leftover material that he had intended for Merciful Fate. And it, in my eyes, in my ears, it always felt like a Merciful Fate record. But the news was that the original band was getting back together again. So obviously there was, in my mind, a lot of excitement surrounding the reformation with my favorite guitar duo, Michael Denner, Hank Sherman. They just complement each other well. The way they built on the riffs that they made, the way they traded off the solos, they just complemented each other very well. So yeah, this got this first day it came out on CD from FYE, and man, it did not disappoint. This is a really good record. Is it the caliber of record that Don't Break the Oath or Melissa? No, it's not. Is it the same caliber as Fatal Portrait? Nope. The one thing that changed for me, the spirit of Merciful Fate was in Europe, where they recorded on tape. And as soon as operations moved to Dallas, they started recording digitally. A little bit of that creepy spirit kind of left. It was eradicated from the sound just because the digital is too clean. But still, the old spirit and the riffs was still here. It was a good comeback record. But also, I will also say that as soon as Merciful Fate and King Diamond started working in tandem of each other, I think the quality in both bands' albums kind of diminished a bit. The King Diamond records started, they're still good. He put out some good shit. In fact, I just listened to Abigail 2 and The Spider's Lullaby the other day, and they're great. They hold up. They still hold up really well. But, you know, once the two bands were running at the same time, you know, the quality of riffs was starting to get bled between two different bands, two different creative outlets, and it was too much overburdened, and both bands suffered because of it. But will we ever get the King Diamond album? Will we ever get a Merciful Fate album in 2026? No idea. Now that Andy LaRocque has got a new band with old members of King Diamond, Al Patino, Mickey D. What's the other guy? There's one other guy. It tells
Lex
me that
Legion is the project.
Lex Legion is the name of the band, and it tells me that Scorpions are probably about done, and it tells me that there's a lot of delays with King Diamond. So here we go. Anyway, that was my first pick, Merciful Fate. We're back to you, sir.
Good one.
Hey, Mike, thank you so much for the super chat, man. We appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mike.
Didn't have to do that.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
You didn't have to.
Oh, you did, because you know I'm watching you. Okay, hold on. So I was prepared. Oh yeah, I got it here. Just to continue with Priest, because my son just came home and I had to deal with some things because my wife is sick. I will say a comeback for me from my point of view, because I loved when Rob came back. Okay, did you see them on that tour with Slayer?
I've never seen Judas Priest live.
I didn't. I saw them twice with Owens, but I did not see them with Halford.
Well, I got to tell you, man, that was a show, because I was expecting them to be down tuned, like they just not what it should be, and it blew my mind.
Thanks, Billy. Sorry, Phil.
I hope so. Billy, enough. I'm talking.
Thank you, man.
Thanks, Billy.
Oops.
Anyways, the show was awesome, and Slayer were incredible. The neo-Nazi bikers, as an aside, ruined it for a lot of people at where was it? The amphitheater in Toronto. Again, you know what I'm saying? Some of these Slayer fans, but these neo-Nazis, man, like they were like giving Nazis a bad name. I got to tell you, and sue for defamation of character. But yeah, so yeah, but it was a great show, and they played the classics. So I mean, for me, a great comeback for Judas Priest. Besides that. Because there's songs on that album. As much as I say that I loved it, I can't even really remember. Do you know what I mean? Like,
no, it's as we said earlier, it's a safe album, so it doesn't have a ton of standout stuff. You're right.
Yeah,
sure. You know what I mean. Besides, like Wicker Man on that album, or like the Mirrors song, or whatever, like our brothers, right? It's just, I don't. You're not going to get a Power Slave vibe, or
no Aces High. There's no Aces High. Really.
There's no Aces. There's no Big Aura either.
There's no Flash of the Blade. Come on.
Yeah. So when like for me, after Peppermint Handjob, and then you got this right here, which was supposed to be back to form.
It's not a bad record. People bitch about it. I like it. Other than the cover.
No, I love the cover. There's more hand jobs going.
No, I mean not the cover. I mean the Johnny Be Good or whatever the hell the cover song was. Yeah.
I was at the right age, because when I saw Johnny Be Good in the theater, I was like, right on, man, cool. Priest. I didn't know that they had blown it with Turbo when Tom Cruise won at Reckless for Top Gun, and they hated themselves for it, right? So they're like, we got to be in a new motion picture, right?
Yep.
And so they did Johnny Be Good, which turned out to be, it is an awful song, but I have horrible taste. I've been told by many people, right? So when this came out, to me, this was a Judas Priest return to form. A little harder than what I was used to at the time. But I mean, man, Painkiller. I mean, everyone that I hung out with at the time who was like, after post like 87 were into like the thrash bands. Everybody decided to give Priest a chance, like the Dirtbags, and that's really, there's no better compliment. Like when the Dirtbags start buying Judas Priest records again, it's back to like Defenders era.
Yeah.
So I do think that this is a great return for Priest, and I love the American Scott Travis. I think I've said that to you guys before. I can't call him anything but the American Scott Travis.
I gotta say, after all these years, Turbo holds up for me really well. I used to be kind of down on the dumps on it, but nowadays there's some good songs on that record, and I even like the guitar synth or keyboard thing. I like it. I have
no problem with that. I have no problem, and I have had many a joyful summer barbecue listening to this album. Everyone's frolicking in the pools, the beers. Everyone's just shotgunning. Everyone's having a great time until parental guidance comes on.
No.
Yeah.
And everyone gets uncomfortable. It's like you farted on the first date when that song comes on. It's just like, ugh. But the album is it's as the kids say, cringe at times. It is. But Ram It Down is fun too.
It is. Right? I like it too.
The title song is fun. All of them. The blood red skies.
Yep.
But
so
I mean,
epic.
Yeah, it's epic, right? And like I tell you, but like when Painkiller came out, the Dirtbags returned.
Yep.
And there's no greater compliment again.
All right, good one, good pick.
Yep. Yeah, very good one. Let's see. And you're right. Yeah, those comeback Bruce and Rob albums, they're good, but they don't. I mean, I'm looking at the track list on Angel of Retribution. The most memorable song is Loch Ness, the one that nobody wants to remember.
I have sat down sometimes, like when I was really high, really high, and I'm like, now is the time to sit down and face Nessie. And even then, I couldn't grasp it. I don't know what they were thinking. It is so Spinal Tap. It's so Uriah Heep.
Yep. You may be high, but you'll never be raising the horns to Loch Ness high.
But even like, there's nothing hooky about it. It's like, Loch
No.
Ness. And then the whispers, confess. What does Loch Ness have to confess? I was what was it? The fucking, the Ripper, you know what? Oh my God, it was Nessie.
It was Nessie. Yeah.
Yeah, it does have this weird, like, pseudo faux rock opera wannabe pretension about it, but it doesn't develop into anything.
It did develop into something. It developed into Nostradamus.
Ah,
Come on. Oh,
That's
look,
his
someone
thing.
else just says right there. Well, holy shit, right? Synchronicity right there. Yeah, no. But we dare not talk about Nostradamus.
All right. What you got, Alan?
all right. Well, before Priest and Maiden made up and reunited, there was a much bigger, more seismic reunion. That if Maiden and Priest paved the way for the 2000s reunion era, this band maybe paved the way for the Maiden and Priest comeback, because nobody thought this would ever happen. And I was too young to appreciate it at the time, but even at that stage, I remember people making a big deal out of it when I was at record stores and record shows with my dad and stuff. Deep Purple, Perfect Strangers. This band was dead and buried, but to get that lineup back together in one place after all the fighting and egos, and did I mention the egos? The fact that they could put them all back into a musical unit once again and record new songs and actually have it turn out pretty damn good.
It's a mellow but good record. Amazing. I like it. Yeah.
It is, yeah. Again, it of course doesn't sound exactly like what Mark II Deep Purple had done before, but an entire decade had elapsed, so you can't expect it to sound exactly like Machine Head or something. It sounds like a record from 1984. They were smart enough to update, but the songs still have a lot of Deep Purple spirit to them. It doesn't sound like they've completely sold out and started selling 80s pop songs. They've just taken what they've done and kind of put it into that template, and it works quite good. It's not an album, again, it's not Machine Head, fine, it's not In Rock We Trust, it's not any of the classics, but
Burn,
yeah, well, that's a different lineup. Good album.
I know, but still, I love that record. Coverdale.
Yep, it's very good. But this one's got plenty of good songs. The title track on this is fantastic. There's one other, Knocking at Your Back Door. Awkward title, but very fun song, and works really, really well as an album opener.
Wait, what year did this come out? Because I remember my dad being like huge, and I was not having it.
It's 80s.
1984.
Yeah.
84? Okay, yeah. I was in my Weird Al phase, you know what I mean? Like,
it's probably about where I was at, yeah. So, yeah, but I remember people, again, around record stores and stuff, kind of, oh man, Purple's coming back. I remember seeing, the logo on posters, in the windows on record stores and all that. And it did work for a little while. This band has too many strong personalities to hold together with that lineup for very long, but they did the comeback thing. Nobody really ever thought Purple would make a comeback from that era. I mean, obviously Purple's never completely gone away, but good Lord, it's a revolving door of members. And if you can name a Deep Purple album from the past 15 years, kudo. I'm glad you've stuck with it. Most people can't, but Perfect Strangers was worthwhile.
Good record.
Yeah, it's a solid record. Had some very good songs on it, and just it was a huge deal for that era for sure. All right, Marty, over to you, sir.
All right. Well, I'm wearing the shirt today. We'll talk about Manila Road. This is, for me, a humongous comeback. This is Atlantis Rising. The album that came out before this was Circus Maximus, which was supposed to be a Mark Shelton solo album, but the label convinced him to put it out as a Manila Road record.
I love when that happens. We could do an entire show on that.
Well, Sabbath did it with the Black Star
Seven
or
Star,
whatever.
yep.
7 Star, yeah. And But you listen to that circuit. That Circus Maximus is the only Manila Road I don't own on vinyl because it is really a bad record. There's one kind of Manila Road sounding song, and then a bunch of glam type sounding stuff. Different singers, couple different dudes singing on it. It's bad. But the glorious thing about Atlantis Rising is this is a band that, I always thought that this band was kind of underappreciated and overlooked, but I've seen some interviews with Mark, and he was saying that the band was kind of getting a following in Europe. So, I don't know. All I know is that I got this promo for it, and my friend Jeff Wagner made me a Manila Road mixtape, and all of a sudden it clicked. And then this promo showed up, and this is basically Manila Road moving into the modern era and actually having a pretty good production. Production has always kind of been a thing for this band. It's either really good or it sounds a little underground. But for epic metal, epic heavy metal, that fits perfectly. But this album is really good. It's really heavy. The songs are really good. He got Brian Hellroady Patrick on vocals, who has a younger sounding version of Mark Shelton. He has a really good voice. He can be brutal with it if he wants to. He can sound like that deranged wizard sound too that Mark is so good at. It's just a well-produced, really heavy record, and it got Manila Road back into the game, out on the road. This is the only time I ever saw this band was during this cycle.
Oh, wow.
It was at the Classic Metal Fest in Kalamazoo, Michigan. It was them and a bunch of old bands, and they were great, man. Absolutely great. And it got Mark out on the road, and all of a sudden he got to see that the years that Manila Road had been shelved, it kind of the fame kind of started to grow. People started to the generation started to understand what Manila Road was trying to do, and I think it was really good. He was able to take a very long lap and revel in some of the adoration that his band was finally getting and popularity. They'd grown in popularity, and from here on out, they were quite productive. They were putting out records quite often. They were touring a lot, and they were hitting the festival circuits. He was always having problems with bass players. He always got good ones, though. Drummers, he always had great drummers. So, again, this is one of those bands, if you are not familiar with Manila Road, maybe this wouldn't be the place I would say you start, although it's a kick-ass record. This is a band you should definitely investigate. They came from nothing for me, and they ended up being one of my favorite bands. So, great reunion there.
I don't think any of these like comebacks or reinventions are great starting points for any fan.
Yeah.
I can't think of one. I would like to be corrected.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
That's a good point. Well, maybe keep tabs on that as we go tonight, because nothing jumping to mind. Maybe we'll find one.
Well, Pantera, probably Cowboys. Okay.
Yeah. That's such a reinvention. I mean, that's
Yeah.
Maybe
well, the problem is
it's
hard.
Sense.
That's hard to be a good litmus test because in a lot of people's eyes, that's their first record. I mean, none of that old stock has been. Those first 3 or 4 records have never been repressed. So, other than bootlegs, so people just don't know that Pantera was a completely different animal before, Cowboys.
I only heard them I only knew of those early albums because of in Metal Edge magazine, you could get the original Pantera shirt, and like this was about like 86 or so. But yeah, no one's gonna say, oh no, we start with Projects in the Jungle.
What is this here that Aaron's saying? I think Manila Road is too high quality for Chromie, though. Is that true?
I'm definitely not a poser. I was new to the buffet. You know what I mean? Like I didn't understand them when I was younger. Even Kira Thungal, or I totally didn't get it. That just seemed like, just from the pictures, like from like Metal Edge and Kerrang, that they looked like stoners. They looked like hippies, and I was like, I don't want to listen to that shit. Right? I was wrong, but he is right. They are a band that's better than me, and my next pick will show a band that's better than me.
Well, let's see that pick.
Are we skipping Professor Steele? Or
no? It goes from me to you.
Oh yes. Well, someone just did it there. Now I feel like an absolute fraud putting this up here right now. But I have interesting ties with this band. Heartwork was what, 93?
Yep.
Who's hosting? Is there like a big brouhaha going on back there somewhere?
My kid is up there playing video games and hollering and screaming. And yeah.
All right, right on. So before I get into my opinion on this one, there's kind of a droll story about this one with this band. See, back in like 93, Much Music, Power Hour, and Power 30 at that point. Now, then it became Rage, which is just gross.
I used to love that Power Hour, man. That thing, saw killer shit on there.
Yeah, and that's where my soul swam, right? You know what I mean? When you got I loved all the thrash stuff and stuff, but when this band came out, and then people were like, "Man, you should check out," like they had like bootleg tapes of Reek and stuff like that, and I was like, what the hell is this?
It's a mess.
It's like, I'm a big horror movie fan, you know what I mean, but I didn't want to watch Faces of Death. I didn't want to watch snuff films, and the cover, everything about it was just gross to me. I didn't like that kind of sound, so I was very offended by it. I wanted Megadeth back. I wanted Sacrifice and stuff back on Power 30, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I was not in line with that stuff when it came out, but I had a lot of friends that were. A funny story though about this, talking about synchronicity. So in 93, you remember the GT snow racers? You know, those like those slides that had like steering wheels? Every Canadian will know what a GT snow racer is. Like, look it up, for God's sakes. Did you not have childhoods? Like, you guys probably called them something else, but it was a slide with the skis and the wheel. And they were,
okay.
You know, what did you guys call them? Like Freedom Fries or something? Did you?
I just had a sled down a monstrous driveway and always hurt myself every other day. It was
we
great.
called them toboggans.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyways, this GT was lethal, man, and it was more than I could handle. And we went down this hill called King Kong, and King Kong, even skidoos couldn't go up it. Like, they would fall backwards. So I went down on this thing. When I went down, I don't know how I held on, but I hit a jump and went about 7.5 feet in the air. The GT turned sideways,
Oh,
and
no.
it's plastic, and I went down and ruptured my balls. Like, ruptured them. Like, everything was just bleeding, and I was sweating. It was the worst experience. So that's when that Carcass album came out, okay? When Surgical Steel came out, it was what? How many years later? Was it like 16 years or whatever? It must be 17 years. Had to be.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so I had lived with varicocele in my balls. It's a wonder I have children. I had a hernia, and I had varicocele.
Don't you go to the doctor? Don't they have doctors up there in Canada?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. No, they said I'd never have children.
Oh,
Right?
wow.
No,
Okay.
they said you were ruined, right? And a varicocele, if you don't know what it is, it's like the vein in it is just like over. Isn't this conversation very Carcass?
It has turned into one, yes.
Yeah.
So when this album came out, I was scheduled for surgery to correct it after all that time, the varicocele, and to deal with my hernia as a result of it. So I always had that, and I always thought of it like with Carcass, because my friends were listening to that song that's the title song Heartwork, which I used to say was that ripoff of Creator.
Yeah.
Right?
That's
what a moody bastard I was, right?
Yep.
But
People of the lie, right? People of the lie.
Yeah, and yeah, that's right. And so it's just funny how that happened, and then boom, as it came out, I was getting my balls repaired. Right. So, but I will say, people are like, but I want to talk about Carcass. No, I want to talk about my balls. So I had to live with a weird ball for most of my dating life. And it was a great conversation opener too. When the album came out, Nick from Municipal Waste, he's like, man, dude, go back, check it out. Because I had soured. I heard Swan Song, and
they're Cold Lake.
Well, yeah, they're Halloween 3 of the discography, right?
They're Sharknado 3.
Yeah. But I liked Heartwork. I like her. I've even gone back to like the catalog, and now I get it as I've matured. But much like Aaron slinging arrows at me about the band was too good for me. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't ready to, I wasn't ready to embrace it. And when I got that record again to be a host, and I was curious, I was blown away because what I loved about the record the most, it is a Chinese buffet of a record. It is the sequel to Heartwork that I think people wanted,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
not just that, man. Like I'm not comfortable with the word death and roll either. I don't like saying that. It makes me uncomfortable, but that's it. It was, you know. I mean, but this had the melodies. You can't argue with the guitar work,
No.
steer, everything about it is good. But I want your audience to know perfectly well. Don't come to me talking about all the details of Carcass because I am not that guy. But I have all the records. But it just to be a good host. But the Heartwork and that album. Did you get Arteries as well? Did you like that one? I loved that one too.
Torn Arteries.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's all right.
Yep.
Yeah, it's not this album.
No, it's not.
No.
It's still good. It's just this felt like it should have come out after Necroticism. This felt like a more sensible transition between Necroticism and Heartwork for me. But it's still a kick-ass record. Good comeback.
Yeah, you knew it was coming up tonight. It
Yeah.
had to. Of all the
Oh, yeah.
albums, I think probably in the top 3 albums that we'd have to discuss.
Mm-hmm.
Can you believe it's me that brought them on?
No, I get it. It's all good. All right. Sir, Professor.
All right. Well, I'm wearing the shirt, and it kind of follows right along with your Manila Road pick, so we should talk Curious Uncle. Very similar trajectory to Manila Road. You know, made several albums in the 80s. A lot of fantastic stuff. Could not get the time of day. Just very overlooked band. You know, Ungle had a little more visibility than Manila Road just by, you know, fact of the labels they were on. But still, they were always a misfit band. You know, they weren't thrashy enough to be thrash. They certainly weren't glam. They just never fit into any box correctly. And they had, you know, the classic falling out with the record label, interfering, sticking members in, writing songs they hated, and fucking up production. And they called it a day and walked away from it and were extremely bitter. I mean, for 20 years, you know, Ron Garvin went out of his way to point out how much it sucked for that last year or so of Curious Uncle. And so it really seemed like one of those projects that had no chance of getting back together. You know, Garvin, to say he was disillusioned is selling it far, far short. Baker wanted nothing to do with reunions because things like, you know, Vakken had started sniffing around the band a long time ago. Like, hey, you know, we have money, you have band. And Garvin's like, I'm not interested. I've talked to Tim. He's happy, comfortable doing his thing now. He has no interest in it. Flint, to this day, has never really shown any interest in it. So it seemed like a complete non-starter until it finally worked out. You know, and big props to Jarvis from Night Demon for staying on them about it and kind of getting them to at least, you know, just dip your toe into the water a little bit. Go play one festival. Go see what it's like. It's a completely different environment from what it was, you know, in the early 90s when you guys got shafted. And it worked great. I mean, they still sound fantastic. Baker sounds like he barely aged today. They still have that sound.
Great. Yeah.
And that sound is, you know, so very unique to them. Nobody really ever sounded like them. Again, it's the Manila Road thing where they ended up being very influential on tons of artists. It just, you know, they were ahead of their time. We've talked about it a lot. It feels like lately more that, you know, sometimes when you're ahead of your time, it just means you take the first bullets square in the chest and flop dead. And then that opens the door for a whole bunch of other guys to, you know, run in there and be the hero and save the day while you're just laying there getting stomped into the mud and forgotten about. But Uncle comes back. They made the album I was waving around a minute ago, Forever Black. And it is a great return to form. This was one I was extremely nervous about when it was announced. I was like, oh, please don't mess up my memories of one of my favorite bands. But they didn't. They love it. There's a ton of great songs on it that are worthy of their catalog. They just did all the little things right, too. I like the more mature Elric coming back out of... I mean, he's wandering out of nowhere. That background is literally fucking nowhere. just like the band, older, wiser, more weather beaten, coming back out of nowhere. And you know, when you see him and that sort, he's going to get shit done, just like the band got shit done. And they've had a good run of it. If I've got one complaint at this point with the Ungles getting into this pattern, it seems like making studio album, and now let's make 3 live albums before the next one. It's like, you know, guys, you don't have that big a catalog that I need a triple live album every 18 months.
And they play the same hits every time.
Well, they have to. They only have like 6 albums.
Yeah, Halloween just did that shit. You know?
Yeah, I mean, Uncle has 6 full-length albums. I mean, so 10 songs. I mean, at most they've got a 60-song catalog. And again, there's a chunk of those songs that really aren't great live numbers. So you're whittling it down to maybe like, 4 dozen tracks. And if you were to do a double live album, that's 24 tracks. You're playing half your damn catalog. And you're doing it on this live album and that live album. Oh, and now, this, special live from, whatever European festival we did most recently album. It's like, guys, take it easy on the live stuff. We love you, but I'd rather you take the time to write some new stuff, put out a new album. They've said they don't want to tour anymore, and that's fair. They've paid their dues. They've done their time. If they don't,
well, they're getting old.
Great. Yeah, if they're just not comfortable with it, that's okay. They never ruled out the possibility, though, of working together in the studio on new stuff. Go do that. Go do that. We don't need the 4th live from a different European country set that has half of each album from the 80s all over again. They're not the only band guilty of that. And I'll admit, I'm sometimes a bit biased against live albums. But in this case, I just feel like the catalog's not big enough to justify all of them.
But their cover of Parental Guidance was fantastic.
Oh, that shit slays. But yes.
I love that band. When I got them. There is something so, and this is the greatest compliment I can give a band besides being dirtbags, it has a D&D vibe to it. That's an obvious. I'm not talking about the first edition Dungeons and Dragons, thirds or fourths, or even the fifths. I'm talking about D&D. It's just look at the monster, the monster guide. It can be corny, but it's the right kind of corny. It's full of adventure. Every song feels like you are in a location. You are, you know what I mean? You can feel it in some sections. Like you feel like you're on a boat. It's just everything is crashing. It's high adventure, and it's something that I got from like mid-era Maiden too. Took you on an adventure.
Yeah, every song you're in that cockpit or in that pyramid.
Absolutely, you were exploring something, and this world that it. I mean, well, look, even the Michael Moorcock, it's Michael Moorcock, right? Yeah, that cover. I mean, everything about it is what was so perfect about AD&D. Right?
Nope, that's a great point. Yeah, and I always have liked those bands that were good storytellers. And there's a funny thing with Ungle though too. While they're so good at that, and these songs have that fantasy element you just described really well, they also have this other element to them. There's an interview with Tim Baker from around the time they were first starting to tour again, and somebody, the interview asked me, why do you think your songs have endured so well? Why are they why are you getting such a great reception with all this stuff so many years later? And Tim was like, you want to know the secret about Keith Ungle songs? He's like, I will tell you the secret. He's like, the fact of the matter is, we're just a bunch of fucking hippies, and they're all actually just angry protest songs.
Okay. We
just dress them up in D&D stuff to make it seem more apocalyptic. And you're just like, holy shit. There is, because they always have they have that anger of some straight edge hardcore punk band in the music. They don't sound like a straight edge hardcore punk band, but you're like, yeah, all these songs just have this real seething anger to them that so many other bands that do the fantasy things, they're all more like no, let's make it an evening to remember.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And Tim Baker's more just like, fuck you, planets burning and getting flushed down the toilet now.
Yeah,
like,
it's funny. the whole D&D thing that I was getting, if you really want to get nerdy too, it's like, now I never got a what do you call it, a Ravenloft vibe from them, but it was like I got Dark Sun, I've got like Forgotten Realms. If you really want to get nerdy, you can tell Marty's there. He doesn't know anything because he was drowning in puss in the 80s, right?
I was puss repellent in the 80s.
Well, yeah. No, you're right, Phillip. They have that. It's the it's that paperback fantasy
absolutely.
fiction vibe to that. It's not the D&D manual, and it's not the real cheesy Dark Shadows kind of stuff. It's the cheap paperback.
That's absolutely even better way to describe it. They are a cheap paperback band, and absolutely, that's fantastic. I agree.
All right,
on to you, Marty.
Well, I mentioned Cold Lake here a minute ago, and so you can't not talk about the return of Celtic Frost on Monotheist. They had a lot of splaining to do after Cold Lake and Vanity Nemesis. None of it was just, it was just a band that was lost creatively. I don't know. They were a mess, and to break up for so long and to come back with this record is finally their art piece that made sense to me and a lot of people. Obviously it was very modern, but yet, they really relied on those Gothic overtones, mixed with avant-garde, other influences. And they finally had something that sounded like a proper dark, evil Celtic Frost record, but with moving it into the modern era while kind of learning from their past with the things that they did on Into the Pandemonium, which, even in their minds was very much a success as far as just throwing a whole bunch of ideas against the wall and hopefully something sticks, because, we've talked about a bunch on this channel that record is kind of a mess. There's some really cool ideas on it and a lot of things you're like, ooh, maybe you shouldn't have done that. Maybe that was one you should have just left in the rehearsal room. Like, oh, it would be a great idea. No, it wouldn't be a good idea. There's none of that on here. There isn't a moment where, although this is a long record and there are moments that are very layered and a little experimental, it's very cinematic. It's very nightmarish at times. And, the band finally got their due. They finally made their avant-garde art piece that is worth listening to repeatedly. So this is a good reunion. Obviously that all fell apart and started Triptychon, and, which is basically the spiritual successor to Monotheist in practice and execution. So yeah.
Monotheist with guys half Tom's age.
Yeah, exactly. Half Tom's age. Yep, absolutely.
One thing I will say about Vanity Nemesis, I can't think of any other heavy metal album cover that has a guy wearing glasses. You see that on the back of the record. There's always that fat guy with the glasses, like in some of these old like proto power metal bands or new album bands, but not for like something like Celtic Frost or Celtic, you want to call it. But he's got the glasses and he looks like the brain trust of the organization, right?
Looks like their accountant.
Yeah.
I count the beans.
What do I got here? Let me see here. Okay. I remember my Uncle John, who rest his soul. He did consume a lot of drugs. I've talked about him a lot on other shows. He was a huge Alice Cooper fan. And I remember him having these, and I think he played these as a contrarian. And there is some good stuff on these albums, but you really, you have to be in denial to really say it's good, right? So let me grab this. Yeah, what I call the trilogy of Alice Cooper's return, and this really is when I started to get into heavy metal. I know you're going to laugh and everyone's going to shit on me. When I saw Friday the 13th Part 6, you know what I mean, in the theater, like this was huge. This was Alice's sober era, and he was frightened shitless. Kane Roberts on guitar. What was it? Kip Winger was in the band. Now Kip Winger is a name that's going to be repellent to many people here, but he was good on this album.
He's a good bass player and a hell of a dancer. My God, he could cut a rug. He could cut a rug.
I still never remember the name of the guy that they called the Wicked Vicar, the guy that was on the rhythm guitars. But anyways,
Plus, Alice was in Prince of Darkness.
Yeah, well, that's what leads me into the trilogy.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm going to fuck up your flow here.
Oh, no. My flow is fucked. But this one is, when you got like Thrill My Gorilla and things like that, I wasn't so much into that. Although I like Life and Death of the Party. I felt like I could relate to that song. Right? But I enjoyed it when it came out. I got it on Columbia House and stuff like that. When this album came out, this was good, man. What is it? What is it? What about back off? This ain't Russia.
What's up with that thumb? That thumb is not proportionate to the rest of the Alice Cooper hand there.
It's the same artist probably that did Fistful of Metal.
Right.
It's hard to draw hands, man. It's hard
It
to
is
draw
hard.
hands. But this is a great album, man. And the trilogy on the end with Roses on White Lace and Chop Chop Chop. I mean, that's fun. Speaking of paperback, that is like real like horror, cheap paperback kind of horror. And I love this album. They came to St. John's with Motorhead on this album. And I'm a huge Kane Roberts fan.
Who's opening for who? I'm assuming Motorhead's
Motorhead
opening
opened.
Yeah.
Motorhead. And my friend Stephen Wall, his mother worked at the Holiday Inn, and she walked into the room and has a picture with him. And she was an older woman at the time because his real mom died and she was raising him. So she was out of the loop. But she's like, I met somebody named Alice Cooper today.
Vincent Vernier.
Vincent Vernier, yes, of course. So anyway, and then this album, which is probably the biggest hit of all, is my least favorite of the trilogy, right? But I will say this was a huge comeback for Alice. Like when he did that Halloween special, I mean that's second only to Kiss on Paul Lynde, the Halloween special. Right.
Oh,
so
in the Star Wars Christmas thing too.
Well, absolutely, but that traumatized many children. But I know I'm going to take a lot of shit about it. But this was a great comeback for Alice Cooper because if you look at those albums, man, wasn't getting much love, and it's actually horrific to see Alice during the interviews and stuff. Like he looks like he has something like flesh-eating bacteria like under his skin.
Well, he was killing him. He was drinking himself to death. It was impressive. Yeah,
it was. When Jim Morrison like says, "Hey, you're crazy."
Yeah.
And that guy's basically a seal on stage, just drunken. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
Alice always performed. You know what I mean? Like,
and sounded good.
I've seen him perform several times live during the sober years, and especially as an elderly gentleman, and he's always put on a good show.
Yeah,
I was so sad when Kane Roberts, when he came back and then left again, because Kane
recently, didn't he? The last couple of years. Yeah,
I mean, that Nina guitarist, she's fantastic, right? It's kind of hard to follow her up, and then you got Kane, who's not like the Rambo gimmick is over now, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's like Kane Roberts, the computer programmer, right? Right, but
the carpet salesman.
But I will say that Prince of Darkness, again, the horror movie tie-in, the correlation between horror and heavy metal was done perfectly in the mid '80s, like that, right? So I'll always, and I love the band behind the mask. I thought that was fantastic. I remember hearing it for the first time at the end credits. And I was like, oh man, shit, awesome.
All right, Alan.
All right. I mean, we've mostly been talking about reunions that worked out well to one extent or another, that we found enjoyable, necessary, rejuvenated a band. Some reunions fall flat on their ass and don't work on any level whatsoever. And it's time to do one of those. This album single-handedly turned me off of the entire concept of bands being allowed to even attempt to come back for years. I think it's still a reason I'm a bit gun-shy whenever I hear that such and such band is coming back. I'm just like, oh God, is it going to be another Witchfinder General situation? Witchfinder General, new wave of British heavy metal band, one of the few that leaned into the early Sabbath influence. And were heavily derided for doing so. It was very uncool at the time. They put out, 2 albums, an EP, a single. They got lousy reviews. Just nobody was having it. They were kind of relegated to the dustbin of time. And okay, I mean, it happened to lots of bands. But you get into like, the late 90s, early 2000s, and doom metal had a bit of a revival. All it took was, guys from Reverend Bazaar wearing a Witchfinder General t-shirt on some band photos, and all of a sudden it's like, Witchfinder General, oh, they're such an influence on us. Oh, I've always loved their music. So many assholes started pretending like they had, worshipped Witchfinder General for decades. I'm just like, oh, please. No. I spent years trying to find a single album, having people look at me like I was crazy. I talked to a guy in a Camelot once about like, can I special order this? He's like, is that some like Nazi band from Germany? Are you a Nazi? I'm just like, no, and you obviously can't help me. I'll take my business elsewhere, sir. But Witchfinder General finally got a little attention, a little bit of hype. And so Phillip Cope decided it would be a great idea to get the boys back together and put out a new album. First problem is he couldn't really get many of the boys back together. Zeeb wasn't having anything to do with it. Who did end up on this one? It wasn't all new hired guns. There were, let's see.
I've never heard this. I've never listened to it at all.
Don't just use those 40 minutes of your life for something better, because it is not good. Let's see. Phil Cope is the only really original member, you'd say. He got Rod Hawks and Derm Redmond back.
I like the name.
Derm.
Yeah.
Derm Redmond.
Good old Dermot. They said he'd never make anything of himself, but
he played drums live for Witchfinder General in 1983. Yeah. And by golly, he got another chance at that brass ring here in 2008. And you listen to the music, Witchfinder General, they were never virtuosos in the first place. That wasn't the point of the style. They didn't need to be. But you listen to what they're doing here, at best, it sounds like a band that's trying to emulate early Black Sabbath and just haven't really got a handle on it quite yet. There are parts of it are like, okay, that's a very simple take on a track from the first Black Sabbath album. That riff is something Tony Iommi would have thrown away because it wasn't good enough, but it works for you, maybe. The real killer here is vocals. They bring in a fellow named Gaz Martin. Let's check out Gaz's Metal Archives entry. His entire career as a vocalist is one album for one band. Always a good sign.
You're selling me on this record, because the names I want. If I was drinking, I would want to go drinking with Derm and what is it, Baz? What's his name?
Derm Redmond. Yes.
Derm and what's the guy's name?
Oh, the other one. Derm. Yes, you've got Derm. This one is Gaz.
Derm and Gaz, man, they're gonna
Gaz.
We're gonna get in trouble.
Sounds like some kind of weird microorganism. Gazderm. I got this horrible rash on my Gazdermis right here. Gaz cannot sing. Gaz has an annoying voice. He's completely flat for the entire album. There's no modulation. It's more like he's speaking the words to you than trying to, than having any musical tonality whatsoever.
He's got no experience, man. He's learning on the job, man.
Exactly. Yes, he is.
It was a roofer last week.
Yeah, a roofer.
There are jobs you can do that. You short order cook, you can learn on the job. Shoe salesman, you can learn on the job. Door-to-door vacuum, you can learn on the job. Trying to record vocals for an album come out that's supposed to be a band's big comeback moment is not the time to learn on the job.
They probably lured him in saying, hey, you get to meet the booby models on our covers. And then they even give him that.
Oh, Jan was probably a little saggy by this point.
She's like,
this is 2008.
71. I wouldn't have a problem with it. I'd be like, right on, man, right on.
Yeah, I don't know if that was a temptation or not, Marty, but I mean, the end result is you get an album, and it's kind of a mixed bag of songs. There's a few doomy numbers, which is in their idiom. Then there's a few numbers that are just feel more like kind of hard rockin' numbers. And once again, the doomy stuff, it feels like, somebody trying to learn Black Sabbath without quite understanding how to put it all together. The album fails on every level, but the vocals are just the real stake through the heart that ensures this thing will never rise from the crypt and curse our ears again. It was an unmitigated disaster. It came out and people were just like, is it a reaction from a lot of people was, is that really what it's supposed to sound like? It was that case of like, is this the unfinished demo that leaked somehow? Is this like the April Fool's joke? Or no, it's really not. That is what it is. It's so bad. I mean, again, we've lived the past 2 decades have been all about, the comebacks, the retros, the reissues, the dig up more tracks, from, the vaults. Notice how much Witchfinder General material has been released since Resurrection. You got a box set 2 years later that's just the 2 LPs put together, and that is it. Nobody has touched the Witchfinder General name in the past 16 years.
Probably the rights to it are up in limbo. It's probably...
I don't. I mean, there's been reissues of the 2 old realms. There's been a reissue for Soviet Invasion, I'm pretty sure. But
there's 3 hot dog stands that own. They're fighting over it.
Yeah, but there's been no other attempt to like, hey, all right, Gaz, thanks, mate, but maybe we get hey, maybe that guy that we saw working over there at the donut shop, Flem McGlurgan, maybe he can step into the mic booth for us. There has been no attempt to revive this band since 2008, and good. Sometimes it's just not meant to be, and a Witchfinder General reunion was not meant to be. So sometimes they just don't work. We'll do another new wave of British heavy metal one in a little bit that turned out better. So it's not, the story will have a happy ending, but we'll have to wait a little bit.
Continue on what you were saying though about like when it doesn't really work out. I mean, I have friends that were going to go see Guns N' Roses, and I'm like, dude, don't.
Oh yeah,
don't. And I feel bad because I would wish Axl Rose's voice now on Axl Rose in the 80s because he was such a prick, but now he seems like a nice guy. He doesn't deserve this. I feel that like he should be rewarded for having a better attitude, at least publicly. And that voice, I mean, I thought it was like someone was just making a joke, and I was like, that's not real. I think if I was like a 45-year-old mom, I would cry. I would weep. He was starting to say, I was watching a couple of these things live and he was singing You Could Be Mine, and I was like, because I like that song, I like Appetite. I had to turn it off. I was like, I will not have this banshee haunt my head.
Well, did you see him at the Black Sabbath farewell tour or show? I mean, he was struggling, man, bad.
Yeah, but the Mickey Mouse like comparison that people are saying, it's so true. It's unreal. I feel so bad. I don't feel bad for Vince Neil because Vince Neil's a piece of shit and life is coming to get him. Right? I mean, you don't feel bad for Vince, right? If he has the balls to go out there and do it. But I feel Axl was just, I've made mistakes in my life. Right? And I've had to fix them, but I don't think I could come back on stage and sing and charge. I really can't. Can't. Flem McDougal. Someone named Desi. You can just pick the names for Witchfinder General.
Yeah.
And I apologize to all Desi's out there. I like Desmond's, but if my name was Desmond, I would not let you call me Desi.
That's a fair choice. Yep. Yeah, and I noticed Frank a moment ago, and he's really knowledgeable on where all these guys have ended up. He said that Phil Cope has sold his guitars, sold all his gear, is completely out. The one guy who tried to make Witchfinder General happen again, it bombed so bad he got rid of all his equipment. Even he
cut his fingers off.
Took a vow of silence with the Sisters of Mercy or something. That's it. I don't believe in nothing anymore. I'm going back to law school. He's now a high-end corporate lawyer screwing like old teachers out of their pension funds or something.
Yeah, the cover model.
His overlords can buy another, super yacht.
All right. Marty. Next up. Well, this is a band that was rising from strength to strength. It was very instrumental in the German thrash heyday of the 80s. And then their singer, bass player left. And we're talking about Destruction. Schmier, he moved on to do, what the hell is Headhunter, was another band that he was involved in after Destruction. The album that followed Release from Agony was Crack Brain, which had the guy from Poltergeist singing on it. You know what? Not a bad album other than the My Sharona, the Knack cover.
That was a choice.
That was a choice. It should have just, again, with Mexican Radio and Eleanor Rigby by
come on,
Realm.
it's not that bad. It's not like they murdered someone.
Yeah.
Let's not be hyperbolic now, Martin.
Crack Brain still has a Destruction feel. Not a bad record. I
like it.
I thought it was good.
It's okay. Yeah. It works.
Then the least successful Human Cannonball happened, and that album is a train wreck. I'm trying to go groovier. I saw them during that era. They played Milwaukee Metal Fest, and a rain of garbage came down upon them from people throwing shit at them because they were so bad. I mean, I felt bad for Mike, but really Mike made choices here. And the guy was wearing one of those shirts with just a star on it that said Star. And he was like trying to laugh it off as he's dodging garbage. He was nervous. He was visibly shaken by the fact that he was pelted with garbage. But Schmier comes back to the band. All hell breaks loose happens. And you know what? It feels like Destruction again. I saw them during this era and they kicked ass. They were the traditional power trio. It worked really well. And this album, it's produced by Takgren, I believe, Peter Takgren. It's a really weird production, very modern, but still the songs are really good. Final Curtain, Machinery of Lies, Tears of Blood, the whole first half of this record, it feels like the old Destruction aesthetic. They're righting the ship. No more garbage is being thrown. You know, I just seen these guys, Schmier. I saw Schmier and the Destruction Players a couple weeks ago with my kid, and they were great. It was good. I wish Mike was there, but he wasn't. And it's still, they played the classics well, and the new stuff, sounds like modern day Destruction. So
that cover is shit.
It is shit.
It looks like a 99 Sierra video game.
Yeah.
Yep.
Still better than any Metallica cover in the last 25 years. Even though they did something very similar with that what the hell, Hardwire.
Only 25?
Yeah. Yep. So Destruction, good comeback, and they've been kind of just plugged into the Destruction formula for many, many, many albums. They put out some killer shit. They put out some decent stuff. Yeah. Nothing bad. It's all been safe. There's been nothing terrible. So if you're a Destruction fan and have to follow everything, you've been pretty smooth sailing after only one really bad record in their catalog. So
I love when you said
I felt like they really connected on this. I thought the one after that was where they really did
the Antichrist
peak again.
Antichrist, that's a good record too.
Like the one you showed is good. This one is great. But but after that they do kind of just get into their lane. Sorry, Philip, go ahead, please.
No, I was just laughing because my mind wandered back to horror because when you said he was the singer, he was from Poltergeist. I was picturing the old man. It's like, Carol Ann, open the door. God is in his holy temple.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I remember one Halloween, it was like the week before Halloween, and Parker, he was still kind of young, but he was starting to be, wanted to see some scary stuff. I'm like, all right, I threw in Poltergeist. We're watching it when the tree scene, at the beginning with the tree and the nightmare and the storm, and he stood up off the couch. He's like, nope. So he walked out of there. He walked out of the room, went in his room and started playing video games. I'm like, what are you doing? Am I watching this alone? He's like, nope. I'm like, all right, have at it. I tried. Now he's all into it, but back then,
my daughter is going to be 7 in a couple of days, but yeah, she watched Poltergeist, and she loves horror movies. She loves monsters. But that scene where the guy's looking at his face in the mirror and he starts to fall off, she freaked. I was like, right on.
Now we know what the line is now, right?
But she's in this house all the time. I'm always making monsters and like all this sort of stuff, so she's not really, she knows it's fake.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah.
So that's why I show her I'm not going to show like a Serbian film to my children or anything like that, but they can handle, the Preacher from Anthrax album. Right on. I can't imagine. Is Anthrax going to be talked about sometime tonight?
Maybe.
I will say this one was when I had
that's a
lost.
good record. That's a good
Yeah,
record.
but I had lost complete interest in Testament. Like that whole like low and gathering, like they're not bad albums. Don't get me wrong. I was just out of it. I had metal fatigue.
Mhm.
And when I can't remember if someone told me, they were like, man, the band's getting back together again, because this had been what 8-9 years since they put out a record, and they said everyone's coming back, and I'm like, even Louis? They're like, no, not Louis.
Not Louis.
But you can't complain with Paul.
Greg
right?
Christensen. Yeah, they
Well,
played Traverse City, Michigan with that lineup. I couldn't believe it. An hour, not even a mile from my house. Crazy.
Well, I got a severe concussion at this show. I came out with only a piece of my glasses lens.
Oh boy.
Yeah, but anyway, I thought this album was great, and I love that everyone pretty much. I love it when the band gets back together. I know Louis wasn't there, but I mean, it's not the legacy, but nothing that Testament ever put out was, right? But this was fun, and when I listened, now if you like held me at gunpoint, besides More Than Meets the Eye and a couple of other tracks on there, I wouldn't. It didn't get the teenage attention that those early albums did,
Of course.
but I really enjoyed it. I had no problems with this whatsoever, and it was a good
record.
return.
It is a good record.
I like all of Testament's records after that, Brotherhood of the Snake, and all. I had no problems with them.
Yep.
No,
Agreed.
I bought everything. I bought everything that they've put out after that, and that's saying something, because there's some bands, even bands that I worshipped, I don't buy their records, but I bought Testaments. I just like the vibe of the band. I love the look of Chuck, and it's just such power. It's awe-inducing, right?
Yep.
But I'm repeating myself, but I miss my little Louis Clemente. He was adorable.
All right, Alan.
All right, let's see. I said I'd do a feel-good new wave for British heavy metal story to make up for the Witchfinder General fiasco. Lots of those bands have done comebacks. Most of them are very under-the-radar kind of things. You have to really give a crap to even know that they've come back. Made one album for some small Greek label that has no distribution in the Western Hemisphere, and they print 300 copies, sell 50 of them. The other 250 are in a landfill outside of, the Thermopolis, and the world goes right on about its business. But a couple of them have fared a bit better. Probably the best feel-good story out of the bunch is Satan. This one was brought up in the chat earlier, and I said, yep, Satan's coming. When I say it out loud, it sounds ominous, but it wasn't meant that way. But I don't have any of the recent.
You might be right. You might be right, man.
You prove me wrong, kids. But no, this is just a live bootleg that Frank in the chat sent me a while back. And yeah, they sound. He just was like, "You got to hear how good they sound live. They don't miss a note." Yep, there's one of them, and he's right. Yeah, they absolutely are note perfect in the live environment. This is recorded at St. Vitus in Brooklyn, and Satan. It all came back together for them. They were a band that had a ton of talent in the new wave of British heavy metal era. No one denied that. It just kind of felt like maybe their album came out at the wrong time. Court in the Act was a little late to the party. Folks were starting to kind of, check their watch, look over at the, hey, you're my ride. Is it maybe time to head to the exit? Thrash is happening, or, we could go get glammed up. Do we really want to keep playing this stuff? So maybe missed the boat a little bit. Court in the Act, the production on that album has always bugged me a little bit too. It's not the best sounding album. There's good material there, but you kind of have to work to hear it.
But they all came back, right? They all came back for that album that I have there, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, Satan, they did other things along the way through the 80s. They soldiered on for a bit. But then, in the 2010s, they actually, got a good deal and put out the album, and it's relatively blew up. Okay, it's not like Bad Bunny level blowing up or something, but across the heavy metal spectrum, all of a sudden it was like, oh wow, check this out. These guys, they had just enough name recognition where people could be like, oh yeah, I kind of remember hearing about them. Yeah. But it was enough to get people to check it out, and it got overwhelmingly positive reviews. And they've been able to kind of ride that train ever since. They've put out several albums at this point. The first 3 were almost universally loved. I noticed the last album from a couple years ago, that one, it felt like people were like, well, now, not so sure this time. That last album seemed to be the first one to get a more mixed reaction. Even Frank, if I recall correctly, was a little bit like, yeah, this okay. It's not their best, but it's been cool to see that. Yes, at least a couple of bands from that era were able to pull off the comeback successfully, and kudos to them. Brian Ross has been in a million projects. He's got a very distinct voice. He still sounds really good. Satan's had ties to other bands through Andy Sneap and stuff like that. So I mean, they have a kind of just cool and interesting family tree across other acts, and they were one of those bands that again just didn't have a chance, and now they've at least had a relative degree of success later on, and that's awesome. And I missed a chance to see them several years ago, but it wasn't meant to be.
Were you the guys? Did you guys do a show where you were doing the Satan family tree? Because like with Pariah and Blind Fury, I don't know who it was that did it, but it was mind-boggling.
Yeah, no, there's a ton of connections. Yeah, Aaron and I may have chatted about it offhand at some point on a stream, but we didn't go deep into all the connections through it.
I went through a phase where I was trying to follow them all for some stupid reason.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's tempting, yeah.
Yeah, it is tempting. Just I don't know. It's just autism is what it is. But yeah, following the Satan family tree would be just only an autist would dare take on that challenge.
But see, now I'm thinking about doing it.
All right. Well, I'm going to stick with the new wave of British heavy metal. Surprisingly, someone mentioned them in the chat. I know, it's crazy, right? Hell, it's funny when your comeback album is your debut. This is a band that was started. I can't remember the main guy's name.
He committed suicide.
I
have the 45. Do you have that, Alan?
I do not have that 45. To be honest, I never cared for this. I don't care for the songs on the 45.
Oh my god!
So I never wanted to fork out the $100 plus for 2 songs that are both under 3 minutes long. That are
You're crazy. Death Squad and Save Us from Those Who Would Save Us. I mean, come on, those titles alone.
The titles are great, but the execution, and they're not really representative of what the band did at the time. They're really outliers from that early 80s era.
I love it, and I would recommend.
No, that's cool. Most people do.
I would recommend anyone sit down after this. I mean, after this, don't make me cross. Check out the Death Squad video because it is hysterical. It's really fun and very ambitious, and you can tell they tried their hardest.
And it's a sad story because I mean, the main guy, he put so much into making these songs and gets signed to what, Mausoleum Records or something with an M.
We've made it, baby.
Yeah, and then
when you're on Mausoleum Records, they were the only label that called.
I can just picture the airbrushed cover that they were going to get.
Well, the label, something happens and he gets dropped, and there's more than he could take, and he unalived himself, which is a bummer. Enter Andy Sneap, who we mentioned earlier. He was friends of the band back in the day, a youngster. I guess the main guy was his guitar teacher, and he would see the Satan practices happening real time and saw them live and all that stuff. So, the years go by, these songs are resurrected. He gets the old guys in the band together and says, hey, let's see his memory through, and let's get these songs and put them out. They start doing that, and one of the guy's brothers, David Bauer, they employ him.
Yeah, Halliday. Thank you, Jay.
Halliday, thank you so much. I couldn't remember the name. I wrote down the singer's name, though, because this David Bauer guy, he is a thespian.
Oh, with the crown of thorns.
The crown of thorns and the stilts, and he's a complete and utter show.
Oh, Captain, my captain.
Yeah, he comes from the theater.
Yeah,
and his voice is a more aggressive and more twisted version of King Diamond at times. And the way he sits in this music, it's very theatrical, and it really brings a lot of life to these otherwise really well-written songs. Very impressed by this. And their second album and final album too, they're both really good records. Andy Sneap just knew the musical style of his teacher very well. And of course, you have the original members in the band as well. You're not, the essence is still intact. And again, with a very exceptional singer, this is a band that really should have done better. I mean, they played a lot of the festivals and they had the show, and people seem to really like them.
It does have theater kid energy, though.
It does have theater kid. It does totally have theater kid energy, 100%. But this band is great, and for their comeback to be, some reworking of old songs and then moving on to do new songs for the second album, great. They're really, really, really well done, and it's just a shame. I know Andy got busy being a producer, was a producer during this whole time, and then also he is the fill-in in Judas Priest. So, which has seen another renaissance with their last 2 records, Firepower, and then whatever the hell the new one's called. I can't remember.
Invincible Shield.
Invincible Shield. You know what? They're both long, but they're both really well done. So
I'll agree with 50%
he's a fixer. He's a fixer. Philip.
What are we going to put? Oh, I'll go with this one. Hold on one sec. I forgot that I was coming up next. I'm so sorry. Don't yell at me.
TikTok, Philip.
I know.
Oh, I'm kidding.
Sticking with that vibe kind of earlier, what I was doing. This one right here. Tempo of the Damned.
There you go.
Oh, yep.
I know a lot of people hate the title Shovel-Headed Killing Machine, too. I adore it. And the cover was just fantastic. But this was another one to see Zetro back. I can't believe he's gone again. And it's Rob from Skin Lab, right? I saw him.
Rob Dukes.
Rob Dukes, yes. Yeah, he was part of Skin Lab.
I have no idea.
I saw him live, and I was not open to him because Exodus is either, it's either Zetro or Chuck Billy. You know what I mean? Like that. Not Chuck Billy, but
Bailoff.
Yes, thank you. But I thought this was an absolute fun album. I mean, what is else to say about Exodus? You know what I mean? It has
Exodus does Exodus things.
But but to have Rick back, that was huge. I mean, this was like pretty much like the gang is back, right? It was the only difference here.
I don't know if I've ever heard that whole album.
It's again, it's that same vibe, the same thing we're going to be saying over and over again. Like, it's a solid comeback. You're going to like it. I love the tour. I thought it was great. It was better than most things Exodus put out before that, I got to tell you. But I like this little run. Yeah. And again, Rick back. I mean, that's like, what do they call it? The H team.
Yeah, the H team. He's a riff merchant for sure.
Yeah, he looks like such a skeet though. I love it.
Yeah.
Skeet City. Yeah. So I mean, it's not much to say that we all don't know about Exodus. You know what I mean? But
right. Okay, Alan.
All right, let's see. I don't know if we've done a black metal one yet. We should do a black metal one here. This band had a respectable run in the 90s, but by the end of the decade, the albums were getting a little weird, not quite as tight, and so they hung it up for several years. And legend has it that in the early 2000s, they heard, Mayhem come out with Grand Declaration of War and heard what Emperor were doing. And they kind of thought to themselves, we can do that, but we can do that better. And they might have. It's, of course, a matter of taste. But Abigor came back with a different sound and different approach with Fractal Possession. And damn if they didn't really absolutely. If they didn't up the ante, they certainly called the bet that bands like Mayhem were placing, early 2000s. All the kind of medieval trappings are gone. The 90s Abigor stuff, a lot of it is really good. It's an underrated catalog amongst that second wave black metal of the 90s. But on this one, they have that colder, for lack of a better descriptor, more futuristic kind of approach that a lot of bands took. And you started to see it with the Deathspell Omegas and stuff too around the same time. But Abigor being Abigor really always know how to put songs together. And this album is a monster in that particular black metal style. they didn't stick with this style very long. Abigor, keeps changing over time. The album after this insanely gets even more technically complex. Time is the Sulfur in the Veins of the Saint is one of those albums that's really hard to sit down and figure out how that was even recorded. This one, by comparison, is easier to get into. So yeah, it was a comeback for Abigor, a different direction for Abigor, but they really mastered it right out of the gate, which isn't surprising given the level of musicianship they're capable of. It's not one you hear mentioned as much. Abigor is always one of those bands that's a little beneath the surface. They don't get mentioned in the same breath as, the big four of Scandinavian black metal and all of that. I don't know if it's a matter just that they were, from Austria instead of Sweden and Norway, so they don't have the right pedigree of some of the other bands. Or just, smaller labels. They didn't have quite as much distribution, but they've got a very, very high quality catalog from most eras. Not every album's fantastic. Like I said, a couple in the late 90s started to maybe feel unfocused. That's a nice word. We'll go with unfocused. But yeah, when they came back with Fractal Possession and Time is the Sulfur, it was just monstrously amazing what they were doing in terms of technicality, using that really cold, sterile, clinical kind of production to maximum effect. Great stuff, underappreciated. Check it out if you like some of the albums I mentioned as comparisons.
Their whole comeback and musical evolution, I can honestly say I don't think I'm smart enough to listen to Abigor now. The music is just so complex and perplexing. It's like, oh my God, I feel like I'm being battered. My brain hurts. Yeah.
No, it is one of those things. It takes some getting into. You're not going to, it's not the kind of album you put on once and second time through you're humming along with it. Definitely not.
It's your pate now. It's just I didn't grow up on pate, so I guess I shouldn't start now.
Right. All right. Well, let's talk about a band that has had a troubled past and just has never been able to overcome the importance and excellence of their first three albums for sure. And that would be VENOM. These poor guys. They just don't get along with each other.
Oh,
what? What's that?
Venome.
Vino.
They might as well have been Venome all along.
Well, this is their return to original lineup gets back together and does one album called Cast in Stone, which is this album right here before you. And it's okay. This is the 3 LP set, and it actually, what gets me excited about this record is record 3 is a best of re-recorded of some hits. They did Bloodlust, Die Hard, Acid Queen, Burstin' Out, Warhead, Lady Lust, Manitou, Rip Ride, and Venom. And the energy that they captured, it sounds right. I'm like, okay, it rips. The songs, the album's okay. It's just one of those bands. This came out in 97. It's something you were happy to see that these guys got back together. Since this happened and fell apart, they did some shows, they toured, they played some festivals, they put out a videotape. But then the band splintered again, and there was Venom Inc., which is basically the Demolition
LLC.
The Demolition Man era of Venom, which that era was pretty good. I like Demolition Man and Venom. He was a good replacement.
Kronos and Sons.
Yeah, Kronos and Sons. Yeah.
Mantis and Partners Associated.
But I see them putting out. They got a new record coming out again with the Kronos Venom. The Venom.
Which Venom?
Yeah, the Venom, the one with Kronos. He still is a great singer. He sounds great. He's a charismatic frontman, but I highly doubt that it's just going to have any sort of impact on the first 3 albums. This is the instance where it's unfortunate where the band's beginnings are so humongous, so influential that they just can't work with it. You can't get away from it. And whatever you're going to do, even their 4th album, Possessed, it's not great. There's some good songs on it, but they're already there. They're burning out, and the times are changing. Thrash metal. They're touring. They're doing tours with Metallica and Raven, and Metallica is going to succumb both of those guys, and kind of show them that the writing's on the wall. This is a band that just couldn't figure out how to move with the times in a way that worked, and their stubbornness to do so. Their songwriting just wasn't good enough to stand the test of time.
It looks like an Eiffel 65 or like 65. That's the cover reminds me of. It's just like, I'll tell you, let me say something about Venom, Marty. And I want you guys to hear it because I made a little crack there at the beginning and I want to correct myself and apologize to Venom. There are two bands that have made me cry musically and artistically. One is Thin Lizzy on 17 cans of Yankee Jim Ice. I started crying because I was listening to Wild One, and my wife found me on the floor because I couldn't believe that there would never be another Thin Lizzy album. So that was hard. Another band was One Night I was rip-roaring hammered. And I was watching them live. I was at the 1980, where was it? 81, 82 or something like that. The Witching Hour, you know, when they did with the smoke. What is that?
Oh, that's Alive in 85.
85? Is it 85?
Yeah,
really?
Alive in 85. They do Rip Ride and Bursting Out, and
I remember being drawn to tears. I was like, that's what it would be like if I could go back in high school and go back to talent night. This is how I'd do it.
Yeah,
it was my real Uncle Rico moment from like Napoleon Dynamite. I was like, oh man,
that was the one where John Mantis was dressed up in the ninja gi, right? He was wearing like the open ninja gi. He was jumping around in that. No, or was it the 7 Dates of Hell video? Which one was? They had two of them.
No, it seemed like it was earlier. I don't know which one it was, but also the combat one where they're being interviewed and he's like drinking the Jack Daniels, like food. Oh my god! It's just the band was perfect. It's just it just wasn't meant to be. But yeah, that
meant to be.
Yeah, but I've liked a couple of those Venom albums after when things went to shit.
Yeah. Primeval. I like that. I like Tony Dolan in Venom. He was good. Good. You're up, Philip.
Oh yes, well, of course. I will go with this. It's not surprising that I will go with this as a comeback album for AC/DC because and it breaks my heart because I am a guy who really loves Flick of the Switch, Fly on the Wall.
I love Fly on the Wall. That's a good Brian Johnson record. I like that one.
That was pretty much my introduction. You know, the Who Made Who, like the Maximum Overdrive soundtrack.
Yeah,
this is where you can see where I started my interest. What guided me into heavy metal
through movies. Right on.
Oh, that was it. You know, you'd buy the soundtracks and you'd find ACD and just the graphic design, everything. It just works. And I think everybody listening here pretty much had the same sort of like, you know, introduction. But when I was listening to those albums, like when you're listening to Heat Seeker, I remember like hanging outside at Kmart with like really scuzzy dudes sharing cigarettes and sharing a Walkman talking about Angus. You know what I mean? It was, again, a dirtbag. It's a dirtbag era. But when this came out, I remember seeing like some of the hot girls that wouldn't give us the time of day getting Razor's Edge, and it was a huge album, and AC/DC became like something for everybody at the time. It had something that was magical. Some of the, like, there are great songs, like you never need to listen to Thunderstruck ever again, or Money Talks, or Razor's Edge. I eventually pulled this out to listen to Mistress for Christmas because it just, again, it's about Trump, which makes me laugh. It was with Martha Maples at the time. Do you remember that? The Big Affair?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's what that one was about. But yeah, there's not all songs on here are absolutely fantastic, but it was enough to make like everyone in like junior high and stuff like go absolutely apeshit over AC/DC, and they were no longer. They belonged to everyone at that point. You know, I mean, you guys got it. Did you get this when it came out?
Yep, I did.
No, I did
no,
not.
You did.
No.
Marla Maples, thank you.
Fly on the Wall was my last AC/DC.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
The funny thing I remember about that one coming out too, you're exactly right, Phil. You know, it hit perfectly for that, you know, generation of teenagers. But for like, you know, the kids are like, you know, maybe 1 or 2 years older who had come up maybe with, Flick of the Switch or Fly on the Wall or something. There was a certain subset of them that hated that album because they felt like the guitar work in Thunderstruck was too, fancy. They're like, Angus is supposed to play power chords, man. If it's not power chords, man, it's not AC/DC. I don't know what the fuck they're doing on this Thunderstruck song. It sucks so bad, man. That's not how AC/DC plays guitar, man. And we're all just like,
that guy's not right. Angus
what the fuck's wrong with you?
Blues licks, man.
What are you complaining about? You're complaining you don't like this one guitar part, and now you're saying the album sucks. Even dumb kids like us know that. Okay, so like just go away, guy. We can't call you a boomer because that term wasn't out yet. But
yeah.
There was that one weird subset of people that had an issue with Thunderstruck in particular because of the guitar noodling. It was too Ingwe for them.
Sure. No, I remember jumping on board. It was I had all the shirts from that tour and things like that. I was a big fan. Yep. But nothing tops Fly on the Wall for me or Flick of the Switch. I even love Blow Up Your Video. I mean, during that time, I was taping every Power Hour show. That's your Headbangers Ball, you Americanos. You know what I mean? So, but I mean, the song "That's the Way I Want My Rock and Roll," I hated it, but I like the chick in the video, Heat Seeker.
Yeah. Yep.
So yeah, no, but it was good to see. That was their Black album in a way, as far as AC/DC goes. One for the masses.
All right, Alan.
Oh, let's do this one. It came up in the chat a while back, and was on the bingo card. I don't have the actual album, but good example of a comeback. We've told this story several times tonight. Band makes a name for themselves in the 80s. The 90s happen. They have trouble adjusting. Personally, I like this band's 90s output quite a lot. I understand I am in a minority when this comes up. But you get into the 2000s and they decide, hey, we should make up with that estranged vocalist who we did great with back, in the glory days of heavy metal in the 80s. And, they all mend the fences and, they get another contract. There's a ton of hype. All the pieces come together and, it's released in all its glory. Oh, wait, wrong one. We already covered that.
There we go.
Candlemass.
Bastard.
Oh, is that you had that on your stack?
No big deal. No big deal. I had more than enough here. I didn't think I'd have enough, but
the return of Messiah Markland to the lineup of Candlemass. Again, Candlemass, Leif Edling wrote some different kind of stuff in the 90s, which I thought a lot of it was spectacular, but it was a very different flavor of doom metal with a different vocalist. The band had lost their visibility. And so they, got Messiah back on board, made an album called Candlemass with a plain white cover. Well, not the. I remember being very hyped for this when I heard about it happening, and then I remember seeing it and just like, really, that's it. This is a band again. They had all these cool classical paintings on their covers in the 80s and stuff, and your comeback album is like, how much more white can it be?
That's what I was just gonna say. You beat me to it.
And it really couldn't be none more white because on the first CD pressing, because I pre-ordered it, the little cross and everything was a sticker on the case.
Yeah, and it's crooked. My sticker's crooked on here, actually.
Yep. And this is a case. It went over well. A lot of people like the album. I don't hate the album, but this one's on me. This was a case where I hyped it up way too much in my head, so that by the time it actually arrived in the mailbox, there was no way the album was going to live up to the expectation I had set. It just wasn't. There we go. Thank you, Marty.
I was disappointed.
Yeah, I kind of felt a bit let down. I was like, this just, yes, it's Messiah back, but it didn't have the same feel as that classic run of albums through the 80s. It has some good songs. Black Dwarf is the one that most people immediately shout out as great. And it is. It's a really fast, good, aggressive opening track. It kind of gets your attention right away. the rest of them, it's not like it's bad. They do it. I mean, it's Doom, it's Messiah, but
I listened to it recently-ish, and it held up. I liked it better than I did when it came out.
same here. But again, I
My
had a
expectations
lot
were
of
already
room
lowered.
to climb.
Yeah.
With that one, it's never. Again, it's one of the very few. Now that I'm saying, I think it's one of only 2 Candlemass albums I don't own a physical copy of. When I revisit it, like you, it's just like, okay, yeah, it's not that bad. I'm not hating it, but do I feel like I need to run over to Discogs and buy a copy right away? Nah, I'll probably play it once every 3 years and have about the same reaction. But it did work well for the band. It got them back on the map. The reunion with Messiah, of course, didn't last very long. Once again, personalities not quite fitting together correctly. Candlemass has had, a couple of different vocalists since, and they've done some good albums since. They've done some not so good albums since, but they've been at least able to consistently keep themselves out there. They are another band that has done way too many fucking live albums at this point. It's like, please stop making live Candlemass albums. I just know we just don't need more of them. But I am glad the band is still around. It's one of those bands I always, whenever they release an album, I'll go check it out. I'll usually buy it. But they mostly collect dust on the shelf. They don't tend to have a long durability from some of the recent releases. I wish they would. It's one of those bands I wish would release just one more monstrous sounding album before they have to call it a day, because that time is coming. We'll see. Maybe they will. Don't know. Anyway,
Another big band doing safe things. They got together and played it safe.
Yep. Have done it and a little too safe at this point. There's how many sound-alike Candlemass albums do you need? The answer is we have enough. It would be nice to have something that, really was a shock to the system in a good way, not in a, hey, let's try this newfangled mallcore thing the kids are talking about. That would be a bad choice.
Yeah.
All right, Marty. Sorry I took that one off your plate.
Well, that's all right. I got plenty of other stuff here. Let's get into some death metal.
Oh, let's do.
During their heyday, the band Autopsy were, awesome band, had their own unique style. But there was a thing. The Swedish death metal style was really popular. Florida death metal was popular. Autopsy was one of those bands that played a very doomy, very perverse style of death metal. Kind of slipped through the cracks, and they were touring. Not a lot of people were showing up to their shows. They're just doing all the things they were supposed to do.
That's crazy. Wow.
And just not having, and being very disappointed. And it's kind of the whole, when you shoot a video with a puppet penis in it, the same thing could be said for an album like Shit Fun, which is a person with a turd in their mouth. I mean, they're kind of like doing this to the whole thing. Well, they broke up for a long period of time, and during that time, Reifert, he did a G.G. Allen styled band. I can't remember the name of it. I can remember the name of the album, but
and the Experience.
Yeah. And then they did Abscess, and again, they took the whole Autopsy motif, they made it more punky, they made it more perverse and strange. But they got Eric Cutler back and the guy from Vaughn, and they went on and reformed. And this is The Tomb Within, their first EP. Now, they put out a 7-inch before they put this out. It was interesting, but this here, it sounds like classic Autopsy. And the thing of it is, it's kind of like the Manila Road effect. All of a sudden, there's a fan base. They landed in a fan base that had been curating and growing over the years off of those first 5 records or whatever. They had gained a bit of a legendary status, and all of a sudden here they are again. And it's basically the original lineup, other than the bass player. It would have been cool to have Steve DiGiorgio on this stuff. I always liked him in Autopsy, but and they came back, and they've been doing the thing. They've been putting out records on a regular basis. They've been touring. They've been playing the festival circuits. They've been doing all of it, taking a long deserved victory lap and continuing to write solid records. I mean, are they reinventing any wheel? No, but they're living within an Autopsy sound that has always been unique to them. within their context of doomy death metal music. And they always, like the early stuff, Severed Survival, it feels like stoner doom mixed with death metal, and they just had an interesting twist, and very, very sick, very cool. Phillip.
I will always give them props for shit fun.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, there's only so many albums where a woman is eviscerated or someone finds medical textbooks and puts it on their cover. But I can't think of any other band that actually, if Disgust and being repellent is, that's up there, man.
It's up there. Yep.
I haven't seen many shit covers, right? So
no.
But anyways, I will go with this. Being a hoser, living in Toronto, I spent quite a bit of time with this band.
Yep.
I like Razor better, but this was the album I was actually present. Name drop. I was present when they were like recording this because Dave, who wrote Chromium Dioxide with me, was in a band, I think with Gus in another band. So they were in the recording studios. And so I was like writing Chromium and drawing and going back and forth. And like, it was cool to see, Rob and Gus, everyone back together again. You know what I mean? And it was like the album that I wanted after Soldiers, because Apocalypse Inside was not my...
It's better than I thought.
Yeah, I go back to it, sure. But it's just, it's of its era.
Yeah.
Right?
That's the only one I don't own by them. I haven't yet to pick that one up yet.
I saw them with Overkill in Toronto with that one, and that was a really good show.
Yeah. Did you get a concussion at that one too?
No. I was.
Well, you weren't doing it right.
I was. Every now and then I would behave, right?
Right.
I won't talk about the one time when we went to see Manowar and I was on keyboard cleaner.
Oh boy!
Once you hang out with these guys from Brazil, right? I had my friend Thiago. He's like, "You're gonna love these guys, Vinny," and he was like, "Oh, let's do some keyboard cleaner." I'm like, "I've never done that before." He's like, "You're gonna love it. Vinny saw the devil." I'm like, "No shit. All right, I'll try it." And it's the weirdest thing because as we were walking in, everything like you could see the fan. It was like and then it went. People were like looking at us, and I was like,
It's like the frame rate in your brain slowed down all of a sudden.
Yeah, it was like in what's that movie with oh god, when he gets shot with a tranquilizer dart? Like, you're crazy.
Oh
you're
yeah,
crazy. Old school.
Yeah.
That's how he felt. Like, you're crazy, man. I was like, I am never doing that again. As a public announcement to anybody out there, or children, please don't do keyboard cleaner. I blame the Brazilians. I will.
Oh boy. There you go. Public service announcement. The more you know.
All right. Well, yeah, let's stay with death metal for this round. Now, there's an obvious one to do for this band, and I'm going to bypass it because that album's been talked about to death, and everyone knows it inside and out. So I want to talk about the comeback from the comeback, because the comeback didn't go well. In fact, it went very poor. In fact, it's considered one of the worst comebacks of all time.
You have my
that
attention.
album is David Vincent's return to Morbid Angel, the album title that I hate even just pronouncing the name of it. It's such a weird mouthful. After that happened, after they were done with their Killer Cop, Morbid Angel needed a comeback, and David was, thanked for his service and moved along and did other things, mostly Morbid Angel-like things. But yeah, it was kind of like, hey Steve, how you doing, buddy? You busy? Maybe you want to come over this weekend and jam a little bit, with the guys. And so after laying low for a bit, Morbid Angel did get around to letter K with Kingdom's Disdain. And so this was their attempt to kind of start righting the ship. Is it fully successful? It depends on who you ask. Some folks like this album a bit. Some folks really do not like it. I think whether you like it or dislike it, it at least was Morbid Angel getting back onto a serious death metal track. You may not like the production of it. Morbid Angel productions have had issues over the years. You may not like the kind of sludginess of it. Okay, if that's not your style, fair point. But it's not god awful, goofy, how much keyboard cleaner did you huff to make this album like the previous album had been? And this one has grown on me. I'll admit, the first couple of times I listened to it, I really wasn't on board. I'm like, It almost, to me, felt like they were maybe just trying to play too safe or do something a little too low key. Oh, Glenn, thank you very much, man.
Thanks so
Appreciate
much,
that.
Glenn. Cheers.
Yep. But, after, and this was one that, as Craig Zoller, when we had him on and talked about more bands, he's like, you really should go back and give that one, a little more time. It's better than you're giving it credit for. I'm like, you know what? I will. Didn't happen right away, but I circled back to it. And like, yeah, Craig's right. This one, it's not, again, this isn't Altars of Madness. It's not Blessed Are the Sick. I'm not claiming it is. But I actually do like what they are doing here. It's not trying to return to anything they did before. A lot of bands after the, fiasco of Iliud would have played it very safe and just been like, hey, let's do a return to Altars of Madness or something. Let's really just bow and scrape and give the masses something to appease them. And they didn't do that. They still did try something different with their sound, but something that isn't alien to their sound either. Morbid Angel has had those, slower, doomier, sludgier moments going well back into their catalog. So it works on a level. It's never going to be their best album, but I've learned to appreciate it, and it did right the ship. It's not for everyone, but it was a step in the right direction. Unfortunately, they haven't really been able to follow up on that for myriad reasons. We'll not go into that here either. But, this was the reset after the comeback, which, again, sometimes when these comebacks fizzle, you've got to go back to the drawing board. Kingdoms Disdained is a decent return to form compared to what came before. At worst, it's like the vanity nemesis of their catalog, maybe. It's like, okay, maybe it's not quite that great, but it's a hell of a lot better than what happened before. They're at least trying to do something serious and interesting again.
How do you pronounce that Disaster album again? I could never pronounce it.
Iliud. I cannot get it out in one mouthful. I just can't. It's the Iliud Daemonides.
Yeah, I always thought when I first saw it, when I saw the band, I thought it was actually like Nashville Pussy or Rob Zombie. It had that kind of vibe.
It kind of does, yeah.
Illid Divinum Insanus. Illid Divinum Insanus.
The Divinum is the word I cannot get out. I always trip over the Divinum. But yeah, the I album. It is so bad, and with Morbid Angel having their whole alphabetical thing, you can just say it's the I album, and yep. I never
dive in a man's, dive in a man's anus. Yeah.
I think Anvil did it best when they were doing those like alliterations. I love those.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right, Marty. Your turn to take a spin.
Stick in death metal, and a band that really did need to right the ship. They broke up for quite a while, but they got back together, and I'm talking about the Netherlands Gorefest. They put out 2 records before breaking up again. La Muerte and Rise to Ruin, which this one is a bit long, but they are not doing the groovy crap death rock stuff anymore. They're actually doing what they do really well, and that's good European death metal. But this record, this Rise to Ruin record, this is right alongside False to me. This is that good of quality. The songs just absolutely rip. It was good for a band they put out 2 really good opening albums, and then after that they went groovy and just really bad before breaking up. And it was just good to have them come back with blast beats and actually really good, fast, searing riffing. And of course, Jan's voice is just sick, super good. Great band, big influence for my band. And it was good to see them get back together, tour, like again, do kind of a victory lap, doing people appreciating their good quality stuff. But yeah, Gorefest, Phil.
Okay, I'm going to do it just for badness because you knew it had to happen at some point tonight, and I'm not going to let you steal it from me, Mate. This album, and
There you go.
you knew it was coming. I knew I was like, I got to get to it before my.
It's a great record, man. What a comeback!
Yeah, sure is. It is a comeback, and it was what we needed. I find it very hard to talk about this record, though. I can't believe everyone's saying it's like the reunion of Anthrax, and it doesn't have Danny.
Yeah,
Danny is not like Louis Clemente. You know what I mean? It's Dan Spitz, if you're good, because that short run before that, when they got Joey back and they had that whole original lineup of Among the Living. I don't know. I've been enamored with Dan Spitz. I mean, he's one of the reasons why I play guitar today, and I'm so good. Well, let me correct that. It's the reason why I put stickers on my guitar.
comic book stickers.
Comic book stickers, and I do unironically wear like Woody Woodpecker shirts because I am Anthrax, sadly. And yeah, this is great, but you know what? I didn't mind. Like I've said this before when I was on the show, like when Joey unceremoniously got kicked out of Anthrax, my mother let me stay home. I had like an absolute nervous breakdown. That's how they were. Like it was as far as like a boy band effect on a kid. Like I went like completely nuts. They were my favorite, and I didn't hate because I love John Bush. And someone mentioned earlier, sorry for not acknowledging it, but yeah, Armored Saint's coming back, and you bastards have no love for Armored Saint. It makes me sick.
Yeah.
Aaron called it, yeah. But no, I think, and this new one I'm very excited for. So I was a John Bush fan. It wasn't like they just plucked some asshole.
He's a good singer.
Who was that singer in between where they had him and they kicked him out? Anthrax, I'm talking about.
I think his name was Gaz.
Gaz. It was Derm.
Derm.
No, old Dermy. No, but there was a guy. Who was he? He was from like I can't remember his name.
I don't
In
know.
Anthrax?
Yeah. They were taking this guy in and they were recording because I mean it took Anthrax a long time to find a singer.
Yeah.
Who was it? Someone please.
Let me check archives.
I have no idea what this is.
If some wise ass is going to say Matt Fallon, like from the spreading the disease era, no, I'm talking about like right after John Bush left. I don't know. The whole thing with Anthrax has soured me over the years. It's just they want it all. They would love to have John Bush on one half of the record, then the other half will be Joey Belladonna. And every album that they're going to release is going to be heavier than the next. And, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just don't have Dan Spitz.
You know what? I don't. This album and For All Kings after it, they're just really well written songs.
Oh,
I mean, it's not really them being heavier. It's them being Anthrax. And Joey sings his ass off on these songs. There's a lot of feeling. It's just right. And John Bush is a great fucking singer. I'm never going to say bad about John Bush. He just hasn't found the right band. Sorry.
He found the right band.
A lot of people, Saint. I know I'm in the minority here, but Armored Saint is good, but they're just good. They're not great. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I don't know what to say. I'm an Anthrax apologist, but I think I'm their harshest critic because I love them. I have loved them my whole life. But yeah, I will say that this was a great comeback. It just didn't feel complete. I preferred Kings much more. But like I said, I've never had a problem with the albums that Anthrax released with John Bush. I really didn't. Like even Volume 8, like a lot of people went and like it was a different version of Anthrax. They were no longer metal, but Anthrax does that. They keep changing. You know. Oh yeah, so big surprise. But I always called. Remember, I called them before when I was on the show. We were doing that Anthrax deep dive, and I called them Panthrax and Chains, and that's
Yeah.
that's who they are. They
Yeah.
keep changing. It's not changing with the times, and the fact that Charlie went on and did that Pantera thing. And I know there's going to be some people saying, "Well, no, that's it was an homage and all that stuff." If it's an homage, call it a tribute to Pantera. Don't like I've seen interviews and people are like. Charlie Benante of Pantera and Anthrax, and it makes me vomit in my mouth. Right, it's just not right. And you know me, I'm not a Pantera freak.
That tribute is going to make new music. They're going to. Don't even think for a second they're not going to.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But yeah, Sound of White Noise was fun, and actually, I agreed. I thought it was a great album. Stomp 442 was gross.
Yeah.
But I thought this was a good comeback album. And what Anthrax is doing now, Joey is where he belongs. But I'm still, I still think Joey is not close to that band. I don't think he ever forgave them for that 13 years that they left him in limbo.
Well, he never really was. I don't think he ever really fit with those guys. Like they said, they're from the city and he was like further north. Yeah. So it's like different mentalities. They got together and he just seemed a little bit different than them. Personality wise, so I don't know.
Yeah, well, I mean, but he's from he was playing Bible Black in Rochester and stuff. And I mean, New York and Rochester are completely different. Rochester felt like Canada to me. It felt like somewhere in like Alberta, right? So Syracuse, all those places. So that's where Joey's from. But I love Joey, and I've got to see him on tour before he had just rejoined Anthrax. And his guitarist or something couldn't show up, couldn't pass the border, and he played drums and sang everything, man. And there was about 14 people there. It was heartbreaking, really heartbreaking. So he was really in limbo. And what a cool, nice dude, man. He came down and we sat down, and we just, he didn't drink or anything like that, but it was just fun. He was a very humble guy, but you could tell he like the love of his life cheated on him. Right? He was heartbroken. And again, I can't release my Joey Belladonna interview. It's so embarrassing. It's so embarrassing from like early 2000s. And when my aunt picked up the phone and was arguing with me to hang up. I held it the other day. I'm like, the boys would love to hear this. They would love to hear it, but I'm so pathetic. I'm high. As when I was smoking weed. So it was very embarrassing. Yeah, it's a comeback album, and it sounds great. Great songs. So that's my predictable Anthrax spiel.
Good deal.
Oh, I thought everyone was gone. I was like, oh
no,
I turned them off with my Anthrax love.
Nope, Marty's just stepped away for a moment. But that is all right. We'll shift this over here. And let's see, what have I got next on the stack? Yeah, time to talk about this one. This band's reinvented themselves several times with comebacks because they kept getting different vocalists that were good at different styles. So, yeah, changes to sound were needed. They also always had trouble breaking through to that next level, and that might have played a role in trying some different things. The one I've picked is let's see. This would be I guess you'd want to say Mark III version of the band. First two had fizzled out by about 83, 84. And they take about 4 years or so to follow up with a new lineup and a very different sound. And they ended up making one of my favorite heavy metal albums of all time. This is Riot with Thundersteel.
I almost picked that tonight,
I was surprised it hadn't come up. I haven't seen it in the chat so far tonight either, even though they've brought up a lot of good stuff. But yes, completely different. And again, you'll get those older fans who are just like, this isn't Riot. Riot's supposed to be swords and tequila and these other things. And that those errors are great. I've got no problem with those errors. I like a lot of the early stuff with Speranza. I like a lot of the stuff with Rhett Forrester when they got a little, more bluesy in the early 80s. But this is just over the top crazy good. And if this comes out in 1988, power metal as it's known today didn't exist at the time. Power metal,
I didn't even know Riot then. Right.
Riot wasn't very known, but if anyone even used the term power metal at the time, it probably would have referred to something more like maybe Omen or Metal Church or Hellstar. This kind of stuff.
Early Metal Blade.
Early Metal Blade, yeah. The thrusts and such of the world. But this was just on another level completely in terms of just pacing, thundering double bass work, the leads over the place, the high but under control vocals, just shattering. Other than Rob Halford, you just didn't hear guys singing this register very often. You had the occasional Halford and Tate who could do it, but most folks just can't. You kind of have to have almost a trained voice to sing this way, and they found a vocalist who had a trained voice. The first, let me look at this. There's 9 tracks on here. Tracks 1 through 7 are unimpeachable in my heavy metal headcanon. The last 2 songs, maybe it stumbles a little bit at the finish line, but these first 7 tracks, they are immortal. The follow-up is really good too. Nobody really gives much of attention to it.
Yeah.
That's all the TVs on it.
Yes, the Privilege of Power with all the TVs. Essentially the same lineup, doing something in the same style, but taking it a little gonzo over the top. But it for the most part it works. I get why people are irritated by parts of it, but and for my money, it actually plays out well. Riot after that, they would reinvent themselves again in the 90s and be a little bit more of a hard rock metal band with another really good vocalist. They always managed to land on their feet when it came to having to find a new singer, and I love every era of the band. But Thundersteel was one of the biggest. There's a bigger gap between that album and the previous, and that's why I picked this as an example of them coming back with a different sound.
I remember making a mixtape in high school, thinking it was fucking hilarious on the next album. I can't remember what the album's called. What is it called? I have it there. But the song Marianne, I was making a cassette of all the songs with different chicks' names, just in case you were dating one of them. I went AOR too, it was like Sherry and all those. But Marianne, I remember that one the most from that record.
Yep. And it's one of those songs that it's a strange song, but it works really well. I love that tune by them.
It's the one I go to.
Yeah, it's a really well done song. Yes, it's got a weird catchy poppiness to it, but it absolutely works.
All right. Well, my computer doesn't crash again. That was fun.
It's okay. We held the ship down.
You held the ship down just fine. I knew you would. Okay, let's talk a little crossover. One of my favorite bands from this era, and this is a hell of a comeback record. This is The Accused with Oh Martha. This is a band, again, people just can't get along in it. And since this record, Blaine leaves again and starts a band called Toe Tag. He's in Denial Fiend with Terry Butler doing death metal with Blaine's retching over the top of that. And also they start The Accused AD with old members of The Accused. But this here, Tommy Niemeyer, he is just a thrash master, a guitar palm muting beast, great riff merchant. But this record, I didn't expect much, but the band got back together with Blaine. Butterfly, you stay. And this album rips start to finish. I expected okay, but what we got was great. And I don't know if many Accused fans here, but they're a crossover band. There's a lot of hardcore mixed in with it, but the riffs are just so sharp and the palm muting is so tight and perfect. It's very thrashy, and Blaine's crazy screaming it's special. I like them better than DRI easily, for sure. Phillip, you're up.
We talked about this on the mascot show before. Is Martha Splatterhead the only female mascot? I can't think of any other. What's the eye patch woman? Does she have a name on Jag Panzer or Yag Panzer? She's because you can't really call them a mascot unless
Yeah.
they've appeared like twice at minimum.
Yeah, and I think she was really just on that first EP. I don't remember her ever having a name. So yeah, I don't think she. Yeah, good stab, but I don't think she
No,
counts.
I can't think of any other female.
I can't think of. I mean, for a while, I mean, Tawny Katane was kind of a mascot for Rat. Her legs were on the EP, and
Yeah,
she was on the Out of the Cellar.
yeah, and she was all over White Snake, which is
Oh, yeah.
a great comeback album too. I don't
Yeah.
care what anybody says, man.
Yeah, agreed.
I picked it. I have it there, but I just didn't have the balls to bring it out because I was like, man, I can't follow that up with Anthrax. So,
Hey, you sure can. You can do whatever the hell you want.
well, then I will do this. I will bring this one up because my favorite album of all time is what, kids? Do you remember?
Megadeth Killing Is My Business. Yeah.
So really, after Rust in Peace, I wasn't a huge fan of the band anymore. And I remember saying when the logo turned like silver, the band got really shitty. All right. But when this one came out, like this was not a great era for Megadeth, in my opinion. This one I got interested in because of the controversy, which is such horse shit. I mean, when he kicked Dave Ellefson off for jacking off on, here's the thing, kids.
Not a good look, but
I don't even care. If you think you haven't been busted jacking off on the internet, you don't even know, man. That's happened. You don't even know it's happened to you. All right. So I think, I get he was a reverend.
I'm pretty sure it hasn't happened, but you never know. You never know.
Yeah, well, to be seen.
Yeah.
We will find out.
That will be a very sad video if it's up there. Very sad.
But I didn't like Dystopia and Super Collider and all those. I just ignored the band. It was too paranoid. It was Dave just being Dave. But I like this one. I really like this. And I said last week when I was on Gas Masks, I thought that Dirk was just fantastic. And this really had an old school Megadeth vibe. But I think the new one, I don't like the new one. The last one, not my
okay.
favorite.
I like it. I don't love it, but I like it.
I'm not a production guy. I don't get on with like, oh yes, well I didn't like, but I don't know, there's something about it. And Dave, I mean, I don't blame the fact that his vocals are the way they are. I mean, he's gone through some shit, like throat cancer, but it's not the frenzied Megadeth that I like. And this gave me a little bit of a taste, although there was a lot of recycled riffs from the early days on this one.
Yep.
So, but yeah, it was just painful that Ellefson got kicked out. Now they hate each other, and Ellefson is spilling the tea again, as the kids say.
Yeah, he's all podcast guy now.
Yeah. And I don't know. He has every right in the world to hate Dave, to be honest with you. Dave is an absolute big hypocrite, but most of the time he's right.
Very talented, though. Yeah.
Sorry. I know people hate him, but.
All right. Good one. Alan.
Let's see. We haven't talked about this one yet. Seems like I think we maybe sped past it while we were hitting some of the other big bands at the start. This band has reinvented itself a few times and bounced back. And again, I think the comeback before this is the more obvious one to discuss, but I wanted to do what happened, when they had to reload again. So I picked Born Again with Black Sabbath instead of Heaven and Hell. Heaven and Hell was, of course, the more visible reset and the more successful reset post-Ozzy. A lot of people, I think, would have been perfectly understandable if Sabbath just ended there. I don't know if people expected the band to go on. It was before my time, I can't say, but they went out, they hooked up with Dio, they made 2 classic albums. Egos and personalities, we've mentioned that a few times tonight. It all came tumbling down. But the guys weren't done yet. They go out and convince Ian Gillan to come work with them and do Born Again, which is its own beast for sure. It's one of those albums. Some people love it, some people hate it. It's got its flaws. It's a weird production. It's always had a very weird, murky sound to it. Gillan, I don't know. I don't mind him on this album. It probably is just one of those cases of it was never really meant to be. He's not quite the right guy. It's cool. It's the kind of experiment you sit around, talking about, like, hey guys, wouldn't it be cool? Picture this, purple and black. It sounds great, but in practice, maybe he's not quite the right guy for it long term. But as a one-off album, just we did it this one time, and sure, it has its warts, but it actually does work.
I like it.
It's not my favorite. I don't rank it nearly as high as some folks are really high on this album, and that's
TJ loves that record. Yeah,
JJ, the guys over at Radical Research, Jeff and all, they love this one to death.
Blew my mind. I love it.
There you go. I like it. I don't love it, but I do like it. It's it's that fun one-off kind of thing, and again, it's, to me, it always triggers the what if button in my brain of what if the production hadn't been quite so gnarly, and what if Richie Blackmore and the guys didn't come knocking on Ian's back door to be like, hey, thinking about doing this reunion thing over here, maybe you'd like to come hang out. What if this album went over a little better and Richie Blackmore didn't make overtures and Gillan had stayed with Sabbath? Would there have been a run of albums there? Would Sabbath have maintained more visibility through the 80s?
Too drunk to function. No, that's a drunk album.
Yeah. It is. Oh yeah, it's a
flipping car racing and flipping cars at the manor they're staying at, and
trying to open the door on a plane because you just
they're bogged down with their insanity at this point.
Yeah.
But I mean, maybe you tweak a few little knobs. You go back in time, and you make sure that one or two butterflies don't get stepped on, and all of a sudden, guys have got things under control better, and there's like 6 more albums with Ian Gillan singing in Black Sabbath. I don't know then if this album would be as cool though. This album might lose some of its neatness if there had been follow-ups with better sound and more time, and everybody a little more focused on what they were doing and not just snorting ants and anything else. So yeah, it's an interesting bounce back after the Dio era. That was just a one-off, but a cool one at the end of the day, even if it's not their tightest set of songs ever.
Rest assured, Rick and everybody, that Coke was part of all those records. It wasn't just drinking. It was cocaine and drinking. Lots and lots of both. Yeah.
I have a Sesame Street album that I am sure Bob is on Coke.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, good point. But, no, I love that. I was going to pick the Dio era, but...
Mm-hmm. I almost did, and then I saw this one on the shelf next to him. I'm like, no, Heaven and Hell, you get enough attention. We're going with Born Again. It also fit the resurrection kind of theme for the night. That was the final factor.
I will say, you knew the writing was on the wall with Ian when you can see on YouTube they were doing some shows, or they're doing Smoke on the Water. And I'm like, oh boy, he's not happy having to sing this stuff all the time, so he wants to get back to something comfortable for him. Yeah, good pick though, good one. All right, let's talk about a comeback that is an artist that was much loved and went away for a very long period of time without doing much of anything other than a brief stint where he auditioned for and demoed some songs with Dream Theater. But
you're not talking about Vince Neil then.
No, we're not talking about Vince Neil. We're going to talk about John Arch. This is his comeback EP, A Twist of Fate. Is that not like Metal Blade album cover 2000?
I was gonna say, yeah.
I mean, Metal Blade just had a look of blandness, man, over this whole run, the whole early 2000s, just bland cover after
That's
bland.
what happens when you replace your entire art department with one intern who's learning to use Adobe Paint on Windows 95.
My kid is on an album cover. Cool.
Yeah, I can tell you that the font choices were questionable.
But I gotta say, here's a guy that has been, he was part of the first 3 Face Warning records, and some would say that's their best material, and others would say that is not true, but I'm one that says that's their best material. But he leaves and he comes back, and guess what? He sounds amazing. There's 2 songs on here, Relentless and Cayenne, and this is with the drummer from Portnoy, Mike Portnoy. Mike Portnoy from Dream Theater on drums, and oh my god, Matheos. Jim Matheos. God, but damn it, my brain is not working. Gets back together and they write these 2 songs, and this album, I cannot tell you how many times I've spun these 2 songs. 12 minutes and 15 minutes. Absolutely fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. And then, fences are mended. I don't think they were ever not friends, but they, had a falling out at one point. And they toured with Awaken the Guardian. They redid that, shot a video at Keep It True Fest. And then John and Jim got together and did Arch Matheos. So this is Sympathetic Resonance, which this album rules. I can't tell you how many times I listen to this thing. And their follow-up and apparently final, this is Winter Ethereal. Yeah. I like this record. I don't like it as much as the debut, but it's still a good record. It's just really good to hear John Arch come out of retirement and still kick ass. He's still really wordy. The thing that was really good about this EP was he let the music breathe a little bit. He didn't plaster every minute with music. He really dug in with his vocal melody lines and felt the riffs below him, which was really cool. But even when he's plastering, he still just has a way of doing it that works. I don't know how he's ever done it, but he makes it work, and it was a welcome return to form in my little world. Phil.
Good choice.
What band has the most comebacks? Wow. That's a good question, but here's one that could give them a run for their money. And I would say maybe Revenge, but we can't not talk Kiss at one point. Mm-hmm. Lick It Up.
That record rules, man. It's heavy as shit. It's great.
Listen, I can't tell you how much.
Winnie Vincent for the victory.
Winnie Vincent. I can't tell you how many times this week I've listened to All Hell's Breaking Loose.
Great.
What be this and what be that?
Why do you have to look like that?
Oh, the line is like, I am cool. I am the
breeze.
Can you imagine saying it's like some homeless guy on the street and saying that? I am cool. I am the breeze.
Now.
I love Vinny. Everything about Vinny is just chaos and self-destruction. And what's this talk about this new $2 million record he's putting?
Moron. He doesn't want his record to be heard, probably because it doesn't exist.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. But what if it's a masterpiece?
It's not. His 2 albums before it weren't a masterpiece. It was a masturbatory, hard to listen to, ridiculous records.
Yeah, Vinnie Vincent solo. Those albums were nightmarish, migraine inducing. Yeah. I mean, I can play that. Yeah. There was no. I was never a Slaughter fan, but my heart went out to them when you hear the stories about it. But look it up. I mean, I love Kiss with Makeup, but the albums also that followed this album weren't that great, man.
I like Animalize. I love Asylum. Don't even. That record rules.
I know.
King of the mountain.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I'm a Kiss fan and I'm a Kiss apologist, man. I even like what was it, Hot in the Shade? And I like that's a dry album. but everything about it. But
Yeah.
this one was good. Creatures of the Night, awesome. Even the Paul Stanley is Kiss.
Yeah.
Right, but Vinnie Vincent, what he contributed to this record was just amazing, and he doesn't get enough credit for that. But yeah, anyways,
I think Gene Simmons was the look of Kiss, and I think Paul Stanley was the soul of Kiss.
yeah, but Gene Simmons without makeup is like the most awkward thing I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
It's like, well, that era. I mean, even Paul said, Kiss fans know this, that he was more concerned about being a movie star than the music, and I get that. But everyone thinks that Gene has always been the boss. But it's Paul.
Yep. Oh yeah.
But
I like them both together. I like both of their voices, very unique singers, and they work well together.
What album was Live to Win? That was Paul's solo.
Yeah, that's the one I took a picture of today and sent to you and said, "Here's a kiss for you, Phil."
Live, win,
live to win till you die. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I like Sans makeup Kiss, but that one is particularly special. And Kiss were in trouble, and
they were.
Vinnie Vincent saved the day. But when we make fun of the $2 million record, there is a distinct possibility in some alternate universe, this could be what we've been waiting for.
And as much as they didn't like working with him, like live and stuff, they kept going back to the well that is Vinnie Vincent. Because even Hot in the Shade, I think, has a Vinnie Vincent songwriting credit. They couldn't let him go. Oh, sweet Vinnie, give me those sweet Vinnie riffs for. When he dumbed it down and made Kiss songs, he knew what Kiss was. He made good Kiss songs, and they're heavy. They're good contributor.
Vinnie Vincent with a mustache is the most terrifying thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's a weird dude, man. Weird.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Creepy.
All right, Alan.
All right.
Because I'm out now without showing like the White Snake and stuff. That's all I've got.
Thanks for the correction, Chad. I knew it was a later one. He's on Revenge.
Good deal. Yeah, no, it's a good time to make it for last round anyway, Phillip, because we're right at midnight. This was a band that, again, could have just ended. They ran into a little misfortune, and your key figure in your band, in your entire scene, gets murdered by one of the other guys on the scene, and your album's not even finished. It's awkward. And so the legend could have just been laid to rest. But, the other guys did find a way to carry on and did so quite successfully. I'm referring to Mayhem with their post-Day Mysteries material. Now, of course, Wolf's Lair Abyss comes before this, but I figured I would just go with the album. I have this weird 3 CD box set, which is why I'm showing, a picture on a back of a cover. But yeah, Grand Declaration of War. Mayhem returns after Euronymous. And again, very controversial at the time. A lot of folks felt like Mayhem had no business trying to carry on without Euronymous. A lot of people did not want to give it a chance. Could not happen. It was very tumultuous. But it ended up, in my opinion, working out amazingly well. They brought in some new guys and some old guys to work out a lineup with Hellhammer and Necro Butcher. And that lineup did some amazing things. Blasphemer really put his own stamp on and style on the band. Maniac sounds amazing in this era. And it's different. They did not just try to stick to the aesthetics that they were using 6 years earlier, which would have been the safe thing to do. Black metal being a pretty conservative, corner of the metal universe. Not only are you, the band, and not only are you trying to come back without the guy, you're also going to take it in this weird direction that's got a Marshall component and electronic components and a kind of odd concept record in a way where you're just kind of leaving all the dark atmospheric satanic trappings in the past. Now this is an experiment on paper that sounds like a disaster just waiting to happen, but it absolutely paid off. A lot of people took a while to get used to the album. I played Grand Declaration twice, and by the end of the second album, or by the end of the second spin, I was convinced this would cement their legacy. I'm like, this is a band that is pushing forward. They are not just going to wallow in their past glories, and they're not taking the easy commercial-ish way out. By this point, melodic black metal with your Dimmu Borgers and Cradle of Filth, those were the bands that were getting a lot of hype and drawing much bigger audiences. If you wanted to do something to just amass a bigger following, you would have done that. They made something very difficult to listen to here that nobody was asking for, but they absolutely paved the way forward. Emperor was maybe, and some other bands, were doing challenging stuff too, but Mayhem kind of ensconced themselves as a leader on that scene and kept reinventing themselves. They never were content to rest on their laurels. All the albums, from this era, included in the box set, you get to Chimera and you get a completely different production, a different songwriting approach. You get to Ordo Ad Chaos and they go in a completely different direction on that again.
Yep.
It was a band that could always surprise you. You did not know what to expect, just that you would get something different. And that continued, for an album or two after this run with Blasphemer ended as well. But I always have had a lot of respect for Mayhem for forging forward during this era with this lineup and not just doing Day Mysteries Part 2, then Day Mysteries Part 3, then Day Mysteries Part 4. Granted, they've come closer to doing that over the past couple of albums, but they kept reinventing their identity at a time where that was probably the most dangerous thing they could have done. And props to them for churning out some great music along the way. So I will end on that one. And Marty, what you got on the bottom of your stack?
I just want to say, someone, when we were talking about Gene, I don't know who it was that asked about the John Stamos movie with Gene Simmons, which was Never Too Young to Die with Vanity. And Professor, you are so lucky I wasn't drinking, because you wouldn't have even gotten a chance to talk about that Mayhem record, because I would have went off blubbering and falling down, just wanting to talk about Never Too Young to Die. All of the Gene Simmons films. I want to hold a Gene Simmons film festival, actually.
Well, quick question. There's what I saw it as a kid. What's the one? Gene Simmons is the bad guy. It's like a future robot thing. I think.
Run away. With the spider, robot spiders.
Some kind of robot spider. Yeah. That is literally everything I remember about that movie. I've just said there's like Gene in an elevator, kind of doing the whole evil, Mr.
And Rutger Hauer with Wanted Dead or Alive. Right, so we could go on.
All right, yep, Marty.
All right, I'll put a nail in this coffin here.
I hope you pick what I want, what I really want to see. But anyways, because I don't have the record, that's why I couldn't pick it.
Oh, this probably is not it.
No, that's good,
not that one.
That is good.
That is a good record. My kid loves that record. Anyway,
it's a very good one. Yep, it would have fit. We just didn't quite get there.
Forbidden Reforms with Russ Anderson, original singer, and this album is pretty good. Is it blow the early stuff away? Not really, but it's really well done. Russ, he's in there. It's kind of a glimmer of his former self, but especially when you start hearing more brutal vocals out of him. But he can still sing, and he does not possess the pipes of his youthful days. But that's not fair to hold anybody to, really. So
no.
This was a good record. Craig LeCicero writes really good riffs, and you got Mark Hernandez. It doesn't look like a Mark Hernandez. I don't know who that looks like. Anyway, this is a good record, a good comeback, but it was, again, the band was kind of shelved, and I'm going to show one more here. We're going to talk about thrash, and I'll throw this up here too. They get the old band back together, the old guys from Nuclear Assault, except for the guitar player, different guy. But you know what? The band reformed after Brutal Truth broke up and played a bunch of festivals. They sounded good. They sounded like Nuclear Assault, even though time and age happens. And this is a decent EP. The song Pounder is kind of slow. It's not like fast paced, really energetic Nuclear Assault, but it still sounds like Nuclear Assault. So I thought it was a decent comeback. It would have been interesting to get a full length out of the deal other than an EP, but didn't happen. That's it for me.
Good choice with BOC, by the way. I was what I was hoping for.
What were you hoping for? Yeah.
Overkill, Ironbound.
That's a great record.
It's buried in my stack somewhere, but yeah.
I was always holding out for the record, but it was just one of those stupid prices. And now it's I think they reissued it, I do believe. But yeah, that was when I came, because I got to tell you, I own I Hear Black, but that was difficult. That was very difficult for me. But after like Ironbound, like Overkill have been consistent. It's a brand. It's a fast food brand.
Yeah,
you know what you get.
Mm-hmm.
Even Electric Age is good. I like that album.
That one's very good. White Devil Armory. Is that
that's good. They had a good run, but Ironbound is a good return to form type of record. That record pretty much rips from start to finish. Well, they've always been putting out good other than I Hear Black, but yeah.
There's even things with I Hear Black that sometimes I'll go back and I'm like, I was just wasn't in the right mental state at the time, but it's not great. It's not really Overkill.
Oh my God. How did we not even visit Jean-Pierre?
Jean-Pierre.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, I kind of left that one for you guys to sort out what was.
I thought you were the Voivod guy these days, Alan. What happened here?
Hey, I carried the Voivod ship last time. It's I only know the early stuff. There is no comeback among the first 4 albums, so I didn't know what to pick. I'm like, I don't know. Does Blackie coming back count as a comeback? Does Blackie leaving count as a comeback? I wouldn't know. I'm an amateur. I'm a rookie at that. Can't put that responsibility on me.
You spend the weekend with me and Jean-Pierre, mon frère, and you'll find out. That's a hard place. That is a hard. Well, it's not as much as it used to be, but it's rough, man.
Well, Philip, it was great to see you back, and we can't wait for the resurrection or the return. Get going with the story. Make up for lost time.
It's good to be back with you guys, and I can't wait to unleash this shit show. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. There's going to be models. There's going to be new monsters. There's a new sex robot, which I debuted on Gas Masks.
We did.
And she's beautiful. And she has a beautiful personality.
Yeah, she does.
Again, if people are wondering what's that, I contacted a Chinese sex doll company and said, "Can I get your, like, what would you call them, misshapen or the ones that didn't make the cut? Like one face is like swollen and shit." I'm like, "Give them to me on the cheap, as long as they have good personalities."
Yeah, that's what you're after. Personalities. Yeah.
Yeah, the one with the mouth. There's no hole for the mouth and no tongue, because I mean, I've got a child. My son is 10. That could lead into dangerous zones, right?
Oh yeah, you're starting to get closer and closer to that magical time.
But I want him to understand that just because this woman might have lopsided silicone breasts, it doesn't give you the right to smack them or grab them.
Right.
Because we know the AI world is coming, and she might get pissed later.
She might, yeah. It's revenge. Yeah.
That's why I always say thank you to like the telemarketers and stuff, even though they're robots. Thank you very much. Thank you. I'm always very polite to Siri.
Right.
Thanks for your time, Sarah. I really appreciate it.
When the time comes, Phillip is selling us out to the robots hard.
But only for science.
Well, everybody, please go check out Chromium Dioxide. The link to his channel is there. If you are unfamiliar, start from the beginning. Don't start at the back and work. You got to start at the beginning and get the whole thing. It's going to take you a minute to get through all the episodes, It's worth it. It's a lot of
The
fun.
first few are, thank you, I appreciate that, but the first few are rough, and I'm going back and remastering them. It's my Star Wars '97. It's all gonna be gorgeous.
Great. There's going to be moving talking creatures and everything now. There'll be 5 tentacles instead of 1 coming out of the record case.
15 puppets in the background that have no part to play, but they just make great window dressing.
Poodoo. Oh, great.
Oh, God. They're rough. Some of them are rough, I'll tell you, but it was made with love and butter.
That's right. Alan, what do you got coming up on Let's Talk Metal on Tuesday?
On Tuesday, we will dive into 1980s US heavy metal local compilation albums. Not the good compilation albums that that had national distribution. We're doing like the radio station samplers that had, like 50 copies distributed out of the back of a van in the 98.4 K-Rock parking lot in Baton Rouge in 1986. Some of those have good heavy metal songs on them, but you got to dig. So grab a shovel, boys and girls. Tuesday morning, we dig.
All right.
Tens of people will be fascinated by what we discover.
I'm sorry I'm not drinking. Next time I'll get on the keyboard cleaner.
Keyboard cleaner, yeah. That's his cheat code is keyboard cleaner.
Yeah, that's my California sober.
Yeah. Right. Show notes.
That's a good example, but I want to stick to US bands instead of new wave of British heavy metal ones. So, but yeah, Kent Rocks is the kind of level we're aiming for here.
Right on. Check us out on Wednesday, the Album Club. We're going to be talking about the latest Avernus record, a Chicago-based doom band that broke up for a long time, and they're back together. So,
who?
Avernus.
Oh yeah.
I thought you said the latest from Ernest. I'm like, no.
Yeah, Ernest.
Ernest saves Avernus.
Ernest goes to the moon. Yeah, that's what we got going
Ernest finds a down on their luck Chicago doom band and teaches them the true meaning of musical friendship and spirit.
Right on.
Vernus.
All right, everybody. Cheers. We'll see you. Have a good one. Thank you, Phillip.
Love you.
Don't hang up. We're going to chit chat for a minute. Cheers.